And we'll see if the AG flags it, but I mean, it's only purpose cause, so it's just no effect anyway.
Oh, okay, good, thank you.
No, actually, I've been sitting for so long. Oh,
Where in Vermont are you from?
Waterbury,
Oh, got it. Yeah. How far away? How long have you drive?
3 hours.
Nice, excellent.
A little bit of time.
Sure. Robert?
Good evening.
Welcome.
How are you?
Good.
Very well, thank you.
So I think we can probably get started with the three of us. I believe Carol will be joining in 15 minutes.
All right.
So she should be here. We hope she'll be here just in time for the first public hearing. So let's see. Good evening, everybody. My name is Andrew Shepard, Chair of the Planning Board, and I call this meeting to order at 6:32. I'd like to have a roll call of all the board members that are present. So just say your name for the record.
Harvey Therian here. Hartley Plushaw here.
And Andrew Shepard. And Lance McNally let us know that he will not be present tonight, and Carol will be joining us in about 15 minutes. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, keeping with Lori's tradition, I'd like to thank all of our veterans and those currently serving here and abroad, their families, and those that contribute their time to public service. We owe them a gratitude. This meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Town of Townsend YouTube channel. And I do not have any additions or deletions. So let's see, you got the agenda in front of you, Robert? Maybe we can jump right to, while we're waiting for Carol and getting ready until our 6:45 public hearing. We'll get into the meeting business, which would be 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3. 3.2 looks like an easy one. Hopefully, Hartley, you mentioned that you were going to look into if you would have the time.
I regret to say I wasn't able to devote as much time to this as I'd hoped, but from what I saw, this looks like I'd say a promising proposal.
Okay, so you think you'd be able to be the delegate to the Montechusett Regional Planning Committee?
Once again, what day is it?
It's typically Thursday nights at 7 o'clock, and I believe it's the first Thursday night of the month.
Okay.
The first week of every month.
All right, we've already had the first Thursday night of this month, right?
It begins July.
Yes.
Oh, July, okay,
Yeah.
okay, I can, I right now, it looks like I can attend. If I can't, I'll let you know.
So then I believe we can move forward with formally appointing you as the representative for the planning board.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Hartley.
You are most welcome.
Robert, would you like to make a motion appointing?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Hartley to the Montechusett Regional Planning Committee as our representative.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye,
All right. Passes unanimously. Thank you, Hartley.
you are most welcome.
So Beth, the discussion on federal programs for 3.1 for Safe Streets for All and possible funding opportunities.
Yeah, there is information in your packet right there.
Already.
I'm not sure we'll have time to discuss it now, but it's 3.1.
There it is.
Yeah, so there are a couple of things going on here. Couple of projects that were prioritized under a program street. Here we go, here it is. So there are safety-related projects, we need to pick two to be considering for grant funding, review those and, make a recommendation. So basically, it's, if the board would review the 4 different proposals, and these were made, part of the safety action plan.
Got it.
So these are prioritized as the top 4 for Townsend.
Okay,
So I don't know if you want to discuss that later in work session. The one thing I was going to recommend is maybe you want to approve the meeting minutes now.
Sure,
To
sure.
get those out of the way at
Yep.
the beginning of the meeting, so.
yeah, we could do that.
And I did add one in for May 13th, which
Okay.
was the appointment joint meeting with.
Sure.
Select board.
Did you guys have a chance to look over the meeting minutes? I know Hartley, you may have been videoing us, but you weren't necessarily part of them.
Okay,
Uh,
the minutes, see what I have here.
Yeah, we got April 7th, April 14th, May 13th, and May 19th.
Right here.
So Hartley, in the past, if we've been uncomfortable, being that you haven't participated in some of those earlier
Mhm.
meetings, you'd be welcome, you could abstain from those votes.
Okay, I'll abstain for now. Right.
Okay. So let's,
And you'll have to wait for Carol, so sorry
Okay.
about that.
then we will wait.
Yeah, you might want to wait for Carol on the, for safety projects too.
Sure, sure. Yeah, so let's see, what can we do with 3 people? Hartley, you want to go through the correspondence?
Forgive me, I'm still away.
Oh, that's all right.
I thought I had it in my computer, and I apologize. Okay, I'm still looking for it. I apologize. I having some trouble with my computer
Oh,
here.
whatever's in that folder, Hartley, you can just go through that. Yeah,
Oh, okay,
that's all for you, yeah.
all right. Minutes.
So one question for Beth, do we need a signage sheet for the regular meeting or just the public hearing?
Just the public hearing.
Okay. So whenever you're ready, Hartley, you can read.
Okay, we're at what, 3 point, what?
Oh, what do you got there?
Correspondence. So actually, I don't see our core 4.2.
Like 2.
Oh, so, so that's for, that's just FYI, those are
Okay,
suggested promotions, but right here,
okay,
perfect. This is just for everybody. This one you can just go over
Right,
quickly.
all right.
These are the notices that the town receives, and you can just scan them.
Okay.
Kind of summarize what they say.
all right.
Can I actually give you the legal notice for this public hearing? I don't think I did. I'm gonna go print that
I
out.
think I have it in the portal, but that's about it.
It's in, yeah.
Yeah.
You wanna read okay, thank you.
Okay, this is the notice of public hearing from the Town of Pepperell zoning. Okay, notice about the hearing, Town of Pepperell zoning board of appeals. In accordance with the provisions of MGL Chapter 40A, 9 and 11, and 9200, 9222, and 7321 of the Town of Pepperell zoning bylaw, the zoning board of appeals will hold a public hearing regarding an application submitted by Michael Blood requesting a variance. The applicant proposes to demolish the existing single-family dwelling, which is pre-existing non-conforming, and construct a triplex which requires 10,000 square feet of land area per dwelling unit. The subject property consists of 17,942 square feet of land and a triplex requiring 30,000 square feet of land area. Therefore, the variance is needed is 12,058 square feet of land area. The subject property is located in the commercial district at 16 Cottage Street, Pepperell, Mass, as shown on tax map 23 as parcel 120-0 or 120-0. The public hearing will be held remotely June 4th, 2025 at 7:20 PM. Please see the calendar on the Town of Pepperell homepage, posted 48 hours prior to the public hearing for information on how to access the meeting. To access the application and any submitted documents, please go to our online permitting system, OpenGov, pepperellmass.portal.opengov.com, and search record number ZBA 25-1. All interested parties are invited to remotely attend the public hearing and provide oral and/or written comments to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Written comments should be submitted on or before May 27th, 2025. Sean McCaffrey, Chair, Zoning Board of Appeals, to be published in the Nashoba Valley Voice on May 16th, 2025 and May 23rd, 2025. Okay? And, okay, there's that. And there's one from Ashby as well. Should I? Sure. Okay. Notice of public hearing on the Ashby Planning Board will hold a public hearing on June 25th, 2025 at 7:15 PM via online conference to hear the special permit by Mark and Linda Lapham under section 7.2.10 of the zoning bylaw for property at Northfield Road, map 15, parcel 9 for reduced frontage lot. All interested persons should attend the meeting. A copy of the application is available for review at Town Clerk's office during posted business hours and online at ashbyma.gov/department/planning-board/hearing access. Well, the rest for these there. Okay. All right, and this is also from the Pepperell Planning Board. Notice of decision, Planning Board, Open Government Record Numbers MAJ 25-1 and LDP 25-1. Applicant Maple Leaf Village LLC. Location of property. The subject property is located at 6 Mason Street between Shirley Street and Mason Street. The subject property is shown on tax map 20, parcel 100-1, and is located within the town residential zoning district. Owner of property Maple Leaf Village LLC. Relief requested major site plan review and a land disturbance permit to permit the construction of a planning of the existing Maple Leaf Village modular home park by 26 units. Decision of board granted with conditions. Date of decision, April 20th, 2025. The decision of the planning board is on file with the papers on this matter in the office of the town clerk, certified this 20th day of May, 2025. Signed by Jason Cleghorn, town planner. Right, appeals to this decision are to the court pursuant to MGL Chapter 40A, Section 17, and must be made within 20 calendar days of the filing of this decision with the Pepperell Town Clerk. Okay, that's what I have.
Thank you, Harley.
You are welcome.
All right. Now, and we're getting close. I think we probably ought to wait for Carol, though, because she'll be a voting member. I'm not sure there's much other meeting business we can take care of with the three of us. Beth, you have an administrative report?
No, sorry to say.
Okay.
Maybe we can do the A&R? Well, it's on that, it's actually not, there's the appointment for the A&R at 7:30, and if the engineer's on, I might be able to do that. Do you see Stephen? Stephen? Nope. I'm gonna go print out this decision
Yeah, we can fill this out. So we'll sit tight.
Yeah, I'll go print out the decision that town council reviewed for 324.
Okay.
So you guys can look at that later.
Hey, Carol.
Good evening.
welcome.
I didn't get any emails on this meeting. So I apologize. I didn't think we had a meeting.
We're glad you made it, nonetheless.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess we'll let the meeting minutes reflect the fellow board member Carol Hostis has joined us.
Yes.
And we're now at 6:46. I think we can open our public hearing of the night. So, I'd like to open this public hearing at 6:46. My name is Andrew Shepherd, Chair of the Planning Board, and I'd like to go around and introduce ourselves one more time.
Robert Therian.
Hartley Plushaw?
Hey, Carol Hofstas.
Excellent. And we have town council here participating on behalf of the town to assist the planning board members with the application. There's a public sign-in sheet that's circulating, I believe. If you haven't signed in, please take a chance to sign in. The legal ad. So this is a continuation of an earlier public meeting, but we've reconstituted the board. So this is the second legal notice in accordance with MGL Chapter 40A and the Townsend zoning bylaws, Section 145-42, Site Plan Review Special Permit, and Section 145-65, Special Permits. Townsend General Bylaw, Chapter 85, NPDES, Phase 2, Stormwater Management, and Chapter 175, Article 5, Stormwater Regulations. The Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Monday, June 9th, 2025 at 6:45 p.m. in the Selectmen's Chambers at Memorial Hall, 272 Main Street, to review a site plan review special permit application and a major stormwater management permit application received from 324 Main Street Partners, LLC. The applicant is proposing to renovate an existing vacant gas station and convenience store located at 324 Main Street, map 50, block 17, lot 0. The project includes reconstruction of an existing building to include a convenience store, second floor office space, and a coffee shop with drive-through service. The project will also improve an existing pump station and canopy and provide 8 fueling positions. 24 marked spaces and a new sign location are also proposed. The property is in the RA3 zoning district and the Aquifer Protection Overlay District. A public remote access link is also provided as follows via Zoom. Parties wishing to speak in support of or in opposition to this application may do so at the hearing or in writing prior to the hearing. Copies of this application are available to review at Town Hall during business hours or by emailing a request for digital copy to planning@townsendma.gov. Respectfully, Andrew Shepherd, Chair of the Planning Board. This was published in the Groton Herald on May 23rd and May 30th.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Attorney Christopher Alphen for Blattman, Bobrowski, Haverty, and Silverstein. As you noted, we did have a hearing on this and the board reconstituted. So for legal purposes, this is the first open public hearing for the record. Although we've had a lot of communication, and that communication that's already been submitted is now part of the record. Most importantly, there's been peer review comments back and forth based on the stormwater and civil, and we've gotten our engineer and your peer reviewer has gone back and forth on those documents, and I believe the board should have copies of those peer review comments. With that, I will just introduce our engineer who will give a quick synopsis of the project because, again, this is a brand new public hearing, so he'll just, again, go over the plan, and then he can go over the peer review comments and let you know how we responded to each.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is David Frothingham from Wilcox and Barton. I am the civil engineer and the fuel system designer for this project. So just a quick review of this project. And again, it's located at 324 Main Street. site fronts here. It's got two-way accesses. We are proposing to reuse those existing access points. They are being narrowed up and brought into conformance with Mass DOT requirements. We're going to replace the sidewalk across the front of the lot. And then moving back into the parcel, here we have the 8 fueling positions that were mentioned with the associated underground storage tanks here. And then moving back in farther into the lot, this is the new building, new 2-story building. Lower floor will be a convenience store with a drive-through. And the second floor will be office space associated with the businesses in this building or the owners of the building. Around the back, we have a drive-through. So we've got queuing spaces here with an order board on the back of the building, and then a pickup window over on this end of the building. Trash enclosures, pads here. And then in the back of the lot here, we have our stormwater infiltration pond. So the light green areas on this plan are areas that are proposed to be cleared, and then grassed or landscaped. And then the darker areas are the existing wooded areas that are going to remain. Site circulation for cars, for drive-through, everything is going to move in a counterclockwise direction. Access to the fueling systems will be 2 ways from either curb cut. And then parking is along the sides and then in front of the store here. Deliveries for the fuel system, everything will move in this direction. The fuel trucks, that's the way they're set up, that has to be on the passenger side. So we'll come in, park here, drop fuel, and then move out that way. Deliveries to the store will be by box truck, so single unit truck, and they will park generally where it's most convenient for them, depending on the time of the day and what's going on. There is space over here for that vehicle that won't interrupt the flow of the drive-through. And the drive-through is equipped with a bypass lane, so someone gets online and has to leave for some reason. There is space to do that. And it also provides 360-degree access around the building for fire trucks, emergency vehicles, and whatnot. And then just a quick review of the stormwater system. The whole site from this way drains back. All the runoff is collected in a system of catch basins and pipes, and then is conveyed through to the back where there's a stormwater treatment unit. It's called a hydrodynamic separator. Basically just kind of spins the water and drops sediment out, and then floatables float to the top, and then the clean water is discharged out the back to the infiltration basin. Basically, all the stormwater from this site is collected, treated, and is infiltrated. We have no increase in runoff from the site, either by discharge rate or volume. The area around the canopy and the fueling area is set up such that if there's any spills on this pad, it's collected on that pad and doesn't discharge to the stormwater system. And stormwater does not run onto the pad either. So that is very isolated from the stormwater system in an effort to keep as much of any spillage entering the stormwater system as possible. The canopy over this area is equipped with internal drains, which are directed straight to the stormwater system. So again, the area where fueling is happening is isolated from stormwater flows and from rainfall. So that's less detailed than last time, but kind of overview of what's going on. Would you like me to go over the comments now, or do you guys have questions you'd like to go over?
The application says you're gonna keep the existing canopy?
No, everything on the site gets demolished. That's there now.
I thought I said it.
No,
Okay,
the existing canopy is quite small.
all right.
I don't think it only had 2 fueling positions or 4 fueling positions before.
And how many parking spaces are there for the convenience store?
There are, I don't remember the names off the top of my head, but parking for a convenience store is here and here, plus the 8 fueling positions. And then employees and office personnel parking is on the side over there.
And there's gonna be on-site lighting?
On-site lighting, yep.
Right.
Yep. And that was one of the comments that came from the peer review.
And the dumpster location?
Dumpster's right here in the back, big enough for a dumpster and a recycling dumpster, fully enclosed with a chain link fence and gates.
I think there's a sidewalk in front of us right now, right?
There is, yep, and we're gonna replace it as part of this project with a concrete sidewalk.
Is 24 parking spaces, is that correct?
Yep.
Hartley?
Yes, hi. When the fuel trucks arrive and depart, and of course, while they're there filling up the tanks, will they be totally able to, well, how quickly will they be able to position themselves off of Main Street? I was thinking that I've seen this happen many times at convenience stores and with gas stations. The fueling trucks would sometimes take a while to back in or drive in, and that would disrupt traffic. And I was just wondering, what are the provisions taken that won't happen in this case?
So it's a normal turning movement off the road for the truck. So these are back far enough in the site that the truck can pull in from either direction, get completely off the street and pull into position to drop fuel.
So
So it's no different than a truck pulling into any other,
Okay, so there,
a Shaw's or a Walmart or any
so
other.
there'll be plenty of room, and the truck won't have to stop on Main Street and,
I mean, other than having to cross traffic,
right,
no. And they don't have to back into the site
right, okay.
very clearly.
Another question. You explained the wastewater situation and such. I was just wondering, I'm not familiar with that particular area. In that area, are there gullies, ravines, anything that might, whether, with changing weather and so forth, that might cause soil erosion? Is there anything there that might be questionable in terms of keeping the situation as you say it's going to stay?
Yeah, so this site has a natural low area in the back. So even before this project, all the runoff from this area collected in the back here. And then there is a small channel that runs off the property right here. But it will only be in the most significant storms that any runoff even leaves this site. And this area is quite flat. It's not a gully or a channel. It's just kind of a low, shallow swale. Velocities would be really low.
Okay,
So
if there should be, 5 days of rain and flooding, would the setup be able to withstand that kind of thing?
yeah. Right now it's set up to accept 6 inches in 24 hours, and drain within 48 hours. So it may discharge, in the case that you spoke about, it may discharge some runoff off the back, but we've set up a very wide stone covered berm, so it releases the water slowly and at a low velocity.
Okay. All right. And there's nothing around there that would, in terms of the radiations of the soil, nothing that would cause possible mudslides or any kind of erosion that would disrupt this?
It's very sandy soil
Okay.
there, yep,
Okay.
Has all the engineering been accomplished yet on this?
yes, yep. Yeah, this is completely designed, and the septic system that's going in this area right here is completely designed.
And there's no new curb cut?
No, we're utilizing the existing curb cuts. In fact, we're actually making them a little narrower to come more in line with DOT standards.
One more thing. In terms of both what the public is going to be able to access and in terms of the internal workings of the business, how many bathrooms we have?
Whatever the code will require us, I'm not sure,
Okay.
what the town laws are per square foot. I know my experience in Fitchburg, if you have more than 1,600 square foot of store, you require like 2 bathrooms. I'm not sure what the laws for Townsend are,
Okay.
but I'm sure the architect who's gonna, provide you guys those details, or our
The Board of
attorney
Health.
can look into this and.
And will they be tied into a septic system or will they have?
Yeah.
Okay,
No, the septic tanks are actually right here across the back,
all right,
and this system is equipped with a pre-treatment. So it leaves the building, goes to a septic tank,
okay.
and then it goes to a pre-treatment system that reduces the strength of the wastewater,
Mhm.
and then it's discharged to
Okay.
the field.
Great, okay.
Is there a more formal site plan showing handicap parking and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, you guys should have all of that.
I think we saw it,
Yeah, it's in the portal.
okay.
Yep.
I've seen it, but I didn't have it here.
Yeah, man, I've got a copy of the plan set.
Yeah, and obviously,
Here.
the civil plan set has been peer reviewed by your peer review to make sure that it complies with all towns and bylaws and state bylaws.
I remember seeing it at the earlier hearing.
Now, we've got full site plans, grading plans, profiles of utilities, details for everything. We've got a fully developed plan set.
I want to make some space if Carol has any questions. Are you guys content with your questions that you've had this
Yeah,
morning?
I think
I'm all set.
Carol, do you have any thoughts?
No, I just want to, as long as there's no issues with the peer review, then I'm good.
Sure. So I think you mentioned.
Yeah, so we received 2 sets of peer review comments. One specifically on the stormwater, which we discussed briefly at the last meeting, but I'll go through it again. They confirmed that we were in compliance with the Mass DEP handbook and rules for stormwater. They asked us for more information on the outlet, the emergency spillway for this pond, which is what I was talking about, is that wide stone covered berm. That we made sure we had the right amount of freeboard. That's the space between the water surface and the top of that berm during our biggest storm event. And then they asked us to show access down to the basin and to the stormwater treatment unit. And on the grading plan, you'll see that there's a road graded in right here that wraps around this way and accesses that. And I use the road loosely. It's gonna be grass, and it's just meant for access to clean the basin and service the separator. Those were the comments for stormwater. And then on the site plan comments, they asked for the crosswalks across each curb cut, which we've added. They asked for the lighting plan, which was provided, and they said they had no issues with it. They asked for this curve right here to be broadened out as much as possible to make turning and queuing up in front of the order board easier. So we shifted the order board farther along the building here and then broadened this curve out so that there wasn't any interference with cars here and someone trying to get by.
And the width of that roadway where the,
This
yes,
is 18 feet, 20 feet, sorry, this is 20 feet.
on the.
Two
on the-
10-foot
On
lanes.
the right side of the building as
Here,
well?
yeah, yep, it's narrower right here, but then it widens out and it's 20 feet across here, and then it's 32 feet over here. They asked that we show the canopy drain. So the canopy that's over these dispensers on the utility plan, we show the drain and how it connects with the stormwater system. And then they asked for some labeling of curb radiuses. So on our detailed site plan, you'll see that all of our curb radiuses are all labeled, especially down at the curb cuts. And then they acknowledged that as a condition of our special permits, that we needed to add a 6-foot fence through this area, which has been added to the site and landscaping plan. And then they basically just stated that they didn't review the traffic study and that the Board of Health will comment and review on the septic system.
So that's in a residential district now, so this is an existing was an existing non-conforming and it's gonna remain,
An existing non-conforming.
right,
Right, and if you remember, we were subject to a ZBA decision on this exact property, and they made a determination
they
that
did.
this was acceptable, the use is acceptable.
I just
With
wanted
a
to
few
correct.
conditions.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's an important question, yeah.
And we'll have their comments in the referral.
Andrew, have the butters concerns been addressed? I mean, has the butter been contacted and told about this?
The one of the abutters came to one of the initial meetings
Right.
and shared their concerns.
I know there's noise, there was sort about traffic, smell, et cetera.
She was concerned about smell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We did have a nice discussion, I thought, at that April 14th meeting. I don't know if you want to.
She was concerned about, the smell of gasoline. And in older stations, when a truck delivers fuel, the fuel goes into the tank and then it displaces the vapor that's in there. And it often gets pushed out the vent for the tank. So you'll get a very strong gasoline smell. For modern systems, that doesn't happen anymore. When the truck hooks up to the tank to deliver fuel, it also hooks up to another port to recover the vapor. So as the fuel goes in, that displays vapor then moves back to the truck. And the vents are designed so they can only allow air in, but not out. So there's no vapor release during the fueling.
And this would be for both regular gasoline and diesel fuel.
Yeah, it is specific to gasoline. Diesel does not vaporize the way that gasoline does.
I believe on the application, it said no diesel. Is that still the plan?
No, there's diesel.
We have diesel. Yep.
Okay, all right, maybe. Yeah, okay, all right, great.
Yeah, diesel doesn't vaporize the same way, so that is not a concern with that type of fluid.
Okay. How do you guys good? Any more questions at the moment?
No,
So I think next, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll read the mandatory referral comments, and then we have Graves on. And after we read the mandatory referral comments, I believe we'll have Jeffrey Walsh make any comments then. But let's first get into comments from the Board of Health. This is from Rick Metcalf, agent for the Board of Health. Their memo said, in regards to the special permit application for 324 Main Street, map 50, parcel 17, the Board of Health offers the following comments. A septic system must be designed, approved, and installed that is in compliance with 310 CMR 15 and the Townsend Board of Health regulations. Property is proposed to be served by town water. A food service permit must be obtained from the Board of Health. This will require submittal of an application, fees, and kitchen plans for review for compliance prior to starting the kitchen build-out. There's the Board of Health. This is the building commissioner. The building commissioner's comments are, 1, lighting to comply with the Town of Townsend bylaws, section 145-52. 2, occupancy. I am assuming the building will not be used for residential use. 3, building to be constructed in compliance with all building and fire code for the state of Massachusetts. Next, we have the Conservation Commission. They have no comment.
We have a sign by law there.
What was that?
Don't we have a sign by law too?
A sign bylaw?
Yeah.
That was not referenced in the referral comments.
No.
But I think there is a sign
Right.
of some sort.
I think you're right.
From the Highway Department, comments, I would assume that any work being done within the state highway layout must receive approval from the district. All work requests shall be submitted through the state access permit system, SHAPS.
Does that apply? Because it's existing already, right?
But it's being altered.
I'm sorry?
It's being altered,
No.
so you need to seek a permit from MassDOT for the alteration.
The select board comments, please ensure that the stormwater plan is independently reviewed to ensure that there are no environmental impacts on water quality for the abutters. And the water department comments are a 1-inch water line must be in copper in a gas station, and proper backflow devices are to be installed. Good project. And the zoning board has no comment. Okay, so we've gone through the mandatory referral comments.
And for the record, no issues for the applicant and all those comments, and we can address them as conditions in the decision.
Sure. So we'll acknowledge receipt of the stormwater management and civil plan set that the peer review letter found. And I think this could be a time, Jeff, if you would mind talking to your peer review process.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Walsh. I'm with Graves Engineering, peer reviewer for the planning board. We were initially brought on to discuss or to peer review the stormwater management aspect of the project. And we did so with our first letter being issued on April 11th and a follow-up letter issued June 2nd. In our initial letter, the comments were minor in nature, but nevertheless, some details that I felt were appropriate to be clearly put on the plan so that the contractor knows what's to be installed. And again, our initial comments of April 11th were satisfactorily addressed with the revised plans that are before the board, and we confirmed such with our June 2nd follow-up stormwater. After we got underway with our stormwater letter, we were engaged to also do site plan review where we look at compliance with engineering aspects of the zoning bylaw, general engineering, and so forth. Knowing that Main Street is a Mass DOT jurisdictional road, we do understand that Mass DOT required to issue a curb cut permit or access permit, whatever you want to call it. Needless to say, I was encouraged that the wide opening that exists there now is being narrowed to better accommodate and direct turning maneuvers so that there's less of a conflict of more of a free-for-all from the old wide opening such as what exists at the site now. But anyways, with respect to our site plan review letters, our first letter went out on May 9th. Again, just like the other letter, our comments were minor in nature. We didn't see any fatal flaws or major issues. Nevertheless, some details to be worked out. Those were satisfactorily worked out on the same set of plans that we reviewed as part of our follow-up to the stormwater review. And our follow-up site plan review letter went out on June 3rd, one day after our follow-up stormwater review. Again, to summarize, Mr. Chairman, I'm satisfied with the civil engineering aspects of this project, and I have no issues at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Okay. So next I'd like to acknowledge the written correspondence we received from abutters or concerned citizens. We did receive a letter from the abutter that was read in the April 14th meeting. The abutter, to my knowledge, is not present here in the room or online. But I'd now like to open it up to any public questions or comments. Given we have another appointment coming up at 7:15, I'd like to keep these reasonably tight. I see a hand up from Karen, it looks like. Go ahead, Karen.
Pardon me?
Karen on the screen for public comment. Not you, Bill. You're all right.
Oh.
Yeah. We are all looking at you, but we're looking at you.
I know.
So go ahead, Karen. Oh, Karen, we're having trouble hearing you. It looks like you're off mute, but I don't know. Is the volume here? The volume's all the way up. We're still having trouble hearing you. Here, I'm gonna feel free to keep working at that, or maybe even try relogging in. Is there anyone else in the public, either here or online, that has any comments while Karen works through any technical issues? I'm not seeing anybody.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can, Karen.
Hey! After 5 years, we figured out technology.
Sure.
So I just had a question about the property hasn't been used as a gas station for at least 15 years. So I don't understand why the special permit didn't expire after 2 years and then not allow this use in the Aquifer Protection District.
Sure.
Yeah,
Adam?
I'm happy to just simply state this is in the jurisdiction of the zoning board of appeals that already issued the letter, and we're not gonna relitigate that because this is just about site plan approval. So the issue is the ZBA already made a determination that it was a pre-existing non-conforming use, and then it could be used as proposed via a special permit. And they issued such.
That's illegal. That's actually illegal. They can't go against our bylaw. It's not an
Okay.
allowed use in the RA district.
Well, again, it was a pre-existing non-conforming use.
That
and
expires after 2 years of being not used that way.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate the.
I have one
legal-
more question.
Sure. Go ahead.
I just want to know if the remediation that was going on after the last leakage is complete.
Sure. I believe we talked about this at our last meeting, but I would defer. I'm not sure. if
I'm
Beth-
sorry, I missed the last hearing. I'm not a direct abutter, so I didn't find out about it till today.
I'm assuming we have to meet state regulations. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you want to speak to that.
The monitoring is ongoing at the site. I don't know what remediation activities are still ongoing, but I know the monitoring is still ongoing.
And obviously,
So,
we have to
go
follow
ahead,
state
sorry.
about any sort of contaminants on the property. So we're obviously not going to bypass state and federal laws to make sure that
It's a known site.
Obviously, I just wanted everybody else to know that that had happened. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Karen. Are there any other thoughts or comments from the board members? We'll go around the table. Robert?
Well, as far as what's being presented, seems totally acceptable to me. I don't know, do we have a legal opinion on this expiration of the existing non-conforming?
So I will say for the first part of my response to that question that I concur with what the applicant's counsel said, which is that that issue is not before the planning board.
Right,
It was before the zoning board of appeals
Right.
because the applications that were made to the zoning board of appeals were for multiple special permits, one of which was a special permit for the continuation of a non-conformity. What Ms. Chapman said is correct, that there is a provision of your bylaw that mimics state law that states that if a pre-existing non-conforming use is effectively discontinued for a period of 2 years or more, that the protection can be lost. Sometimes that inquiry into what constitutes discontinuance is a bit more complicated than it sounds. Does that mean out of business? Does it mean the building is torn down? Does it mean utilities are no longer active on the site? Does it mean the building is vacant? Does it mean the site is fully remediated or the remediation is underway? It's not always black and white in terms of what constitutes a discontinuance of the use. So this question was posed to the Zoning Board of Appeals. I can't recall, maybe the applicant can, whether or not the advice or an opinion from the building official, the building inspector, was requested. But what I do know is that the Zoning Board of Appeals determined that the protection was still active because it issued a special permit to allow the non-conforming use to continue, as well as a more traditional special permit pursuant to
like
the
you,
6 criteria.
it's not in our jurisdiction, I understand that completely, I just wanted to know what effort was put in by the zoning board on that, so.
Yeah, it's a fair question.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Harley?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but was this place we're talking about now, the space we're talking about now, was it previously used as a gas station?
Yes,
Okay. When was that gas station first started operating? Does anyone know?
When I was in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, we think the 40s or 50s.
Okay, I was just wondering if there may have been rules that were applied now that weren't applied then, regulations about
I'm
environments.
sure between the 40s to
Yeah,
today, there's probably a few.
so have we ever had any problem with that place before in terms of any kind of environmental damage or?
I believe I'm not well versed in this, but as Karen did mention,
Yeah.
once it stopped, there was a monitoring program and
Yeah.
potentially remediation, but that
I
is
think there
beyond
was some contamination on the
Okay,
site.
so I'm assuming it was fixed, and whatever the problem was, in other words, there's nothing down deep in the soil now that we're gonna have to worry about in, a few years or anything like that.
So it's something the applicant's counsel I mentioned just shortly ago was, they still need to meet all the current standards in the work that they're gonna be doing.
Okay. Thank you.
Carolyn?
No, Robert asked my question because I was gonna ask Adam the same question Robert just asked him, so.
Well, in terms of, this, pre-existing non-conforming stuff, in the past,
Now, remember, this is, I believe this question is outside of
I
our purview.
understand.
I just want to make sure we're timely with our
Okay.
remaining
We'll move
business.
on.
Okay, I don't mind letting you go, Robert, but I want to make sure we're. All right, so now, we do have a draft decision in front of us. I'm not sure if you all had a chance to review it. It's in the portal. There were 5 draft conditions that were put on it. And I'll just read those and see what you guys think, whether we, vote on it with or without conditions.
Okay,
So condition A would be all exterior lighting shall conform to Article 9, Section 145-52, Article 10, 145-60, and any other applicable lighting requirements of the Townsend zoning bylaws. B, all signs shall be in conformance with all applicable requirements of Article 10, Section 145-55 through Section 145-62 of the zoning bylaws. C, the project shall adhere to all applicable zoning bylaws, planning board rules and regulations, and any conditions imposed by the Board of Health, the building commissioner, and all applicable local and state environmental agencies, otherwise waived. Part D, this tentative approval decision shall be recorded in the Middlesex South Registry of Deeds at the applicant's expense within 14 days following the approval and expiration of the 20-day appeal period or the resolution of any appeal in favor of the board's decision. The applicant shall file with the planning board a certificate stating the date and the approved decision was recorded and the book and page number within 7 days of recording. And E, the applicant shall ensure that all activities related to the proposed development comply with the ongoing monitoring and remediation requirements set forth by the appropriate Massachusetts government agency overseeing the open release at the site. The applicant must provide the planning board with regular updates on the status of the site, including any reports or communications from the monitoring agency. No construction or operational activities shall commence until the planning board receives written confirmation from the monitoring agency that such activities will not interfere with or exacerbate the existing environmental conditions. The applicant must also implement any additional measures required by the monitoring agency to protect public health, safety, and the environment. So those were the conditions that were on the draft decision. Do you guys have any initial thoughts? I'd like to ask the applicant as well if how they feel about the conditions that.
Well, I don't think I want to, if there's an existing environmental concern, I don't want to be supporting the project on that basis. So the language that's been presented here doesn't seem comprehensive enough to me. To know, A, the level of contamination that it's remaining. Is there a mediation plan in place? So I think my reservations on this would be more confirmation that what we're doing now, particularly with disturbing soils and stuff, won't be contributing to a problem that's already there. So on behalf of the town, I think we have a responsibility to look at that.
So, and I just want to highlight specific language that was in those conditions, and it's that all activities to proposed development comply with ongoing monitoring and remediation.
Right, but it doesn't say by what agency or whom.
But then it requires that the agency that's in charge of the state agency of the monitoring and requirements affirm to us as the planning board, as I read it, with a communication before any work.
Do we
Well, that
know
should
if
be-
anybody's
There
been
should be a
monitoring
real
it?
agency like DEP or something.
I mean, has anyone actually been monitoring this
Yes.
site over the years?
Yes,
Who is monitoring it?
our company,
Your company.
yes,
It's DEQE, right?
But since when?
for years. I mean,
Oh, for
I
years,
don't know
okay.
when to start, but
In your capacity as an LSP, is that,
no, I am not the person responsible for the site. I'm a civil
Okay.
engineer.
but it,
We have an LSP on staff that is responsible for this site.
okay, so it's the LSP that is the one who's designated to.
Correct, and this is known to Mass DEP. There is a remediation plan, there is a monitoring program. This has been going on for some time, yes.
So the state has been monitoring it.
State knows about the
The
property.
state knows about the property, they rely on the LSP to provide annual reports on what's going on.
When was the last time any information came out on that?
Sampling occurs either once or twice a year, I don't know,
Twice a year?
I don't know which. Again, I am not an LSP, I just know that we are working on it.
But there is a file number that is a public record that
Correct.
everybody can do.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. No, I'm okay with that.
So we're not gonna be able to get away with anything, is the end of the day. I mean, the state.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it's regulated by the state.
No, but I mean, it's a legitimate concern and.
Yeah, no,
I just wanted to be sure that everybody knows that we're watching that too. So,
Sure, I mean, I agree with you, certainly our duty to, as representatives of the townspeople, is to make sure that, we're considering and, doing our due diligence. Hartley, do you have any?
I think, Robert, he said what I was about to say, the question of, pre-existing situations. I think that answers my question.
so good.
So, would you guys like to speak at all, or do you have any comments on the conditions that?
So all the conditions sound acceptable to us. If there was modifications to that language about the environmental, we would be more than happy to accept anything that would be more concrete. I don't know if town council has any opinion about that, but we're certainly fine with whatever on that regards.
So I had an opportunity to review the decision that Beth drafted, but I didn't get it until mid-afternoon today. So I looked at it and actually told Beth when I stepped in here half an hour ago that I actually made fairly substantial revisions to it. But what I didn't revise were any of the conditions you described. I made no changes to the conditions. I thought that Beth did a nice job with that condition relative to environmental monitoring and compliance. I thought the other 4 conditions you read were just fine. Most of my adjustments were just to bring your findings of fact in line or to align them with the submittals that were made by the applicant. There were a few omissions from the findings of fact that I thought were important. There were some non-substantive changes I made for consistency throughout the document, distinguishing, for example, between the permit you're issuing under the zoning bylaw for your site plan special permit and the permit you're issuing under the general bylaw that is the major stormwater management permit. They arise under different statutory or regulatory schemes, and so they need to be differentiated within the permit, which they weren't. So I did make some changes. I don't think that precludes you necessarily from voting tonight if you're generally comfortable with the conditions. That's the most important part of the decision. And it's fairly common for this board to vote in and for the decision to be signed by the chair, for example, after the fact, or even by all the members after the fact. Presuming you give the review and you're generally okay with the way the rest of it looks and it's consistent with the deliberation that occurred and your ultimate vote.
I have one question.
Sure.
Currently, it's being monitored by your firm, correct?
Correct.
Is there an agreement with the current owner on this for continued monitoring, or how does that work?
So this, is being monitored by them, and the agreement is between Sherman Allen, the previous owner, and, Wilcox and Bud.
So he was working for the previous owner,
That's correct.
and you are the current owner,
That's correct.
and do you have a new agreement to continue those services?
So they will stay until, from my understanding is, until, the site is cleaned, the monitoring or whatever they're doing will continue on.
And it remains
Yeah.
the previous owner's responsibility.
It's the previous owner's responsibility.
I believe that's the way that the DNS is written.
Yeah, that's.
I think we just need some assurances that, if somebody says, well, I don't want to work with you anymore, and,
It is, my understanding is the previous owner's responsibility to continue remediation and monitoring until the site reaches groundwater standards, or however the standard is listed in the plan. Again, I'm not the one responsible for that,
right?
so I don't know all the details of it, but that is my understanding.
Well, I
It
think,
may not be our firm that stays on and does that, but it's still the owner's responsibility to continue to have that.
right, so the
state
question
inspects
is
to
the
have
previous
reports.
owner or the current owner?
The previous owner.
So now that he sold the property, how do you make the previous owner stay responsible?
They are legally bound by their,
Give us clean property.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said, previous owner have to give us clean property, he have a big insurance, and insurance will take care.
they're legally bound by their purchase and sale agreement to
okay,
do that, and the state's holding them responsible as well.
okay,
I guess you can't ask for more than that.
yeah. Then I'm good with that.
You guys should we entertain a motion to approve with conditions?
I make a motion that we, move forward.
Let's,
Susan?
Beth was so kind to draft some tentative motions, so how about I'll entertain and I'll read the language and you can say so moved.
Okay.
I entertain a motion to grant a site plan review special permit with conditions to 324 Main Street LLC to be built according to the approved plans and subject to the town council's revisions as he's done. So moved.
Does that encompass all the other stuff we talked about or not?
Let's ask the town council. Does that sound as a motion?
I think that's right. Did you read from the end of the decision? Is that where you're reading from on those two final paragraphs?
Beth sent me some draft motions, and
I suspect they're what she printed verbatim, so I have a motion to grant the site plan review
I
special
see.
permit
Here we go.
to 324 Main Street Partners LLC for redevelopment of a gas station, convenience store, coffee shop, drive-through at 324 Main Street in Townsend, Massachusetts, based on the findings of fact above, to be constructed and operated according to the plan submitted and as conditioned.
Got it. I got that.
We move on that motion.
Okay,
So moved, I'll second it.
so moved. Robert moved, Carol seconded. All right. I'll go around and we'll do a roll call vote.
I'm fine with approving this.
Yes,
Say your name.
I vote yes.
Hartley's a yes.
Carol Hoff
Robert
says
Herring,
yes.
yes.
Carol Hostas is a
Yes,
yes, and then Andrew Shepherd is a yes. So that has been approved. So that was the site plan, and now we have to do the stormwater. So I'd like to entertain a motion to issue a major stormwater management permit to 324 Main Street Partners LLC for the site plan for redevelopment of gas station / convenience store / coffee shop drive-through at 324 Main Street, Townsend, Mass, based on the findings of fact and to be built according to the plans and reports submitted as conditioned and subject to town council's revisions.
So that refers to the plans that were previously provided to us.
Same plans.
Yes.
Partly any interest in moving on the,
I am,
we're happy to share the,
yeah, okay, what's,
say so moved.
so moved, okay.
I'll second it.
Carol, second. All right, we'll do a roll call vote.
Robert Herring, yes?
Hartley Fleischaw, yes?
And Carol Hoff says yes.
And Andrew Shepherd, yes.
Thanks very much.
And
Thank you for answering all our questions.
I would just make
Thank you.
one additional suggestion. I don't know if the board members want to come in and sign the decision individually, which you certainly can, but if you're hoping to do that more quickly than your next meeting, you would have to find the time to stop in at town hall. The alternative is you can make an additional motion to designate a member or the chair to sign the decision on your behalf. Many boards do that with some frequency, it just makes it simpler, but it's really up to you.
I'll make a motion to have the chair sign on behalf of the board.
I'll second that.
All right, a roll call vote.
Robert Herring, yes?
Hartley Fleischaw, yes.
Carol Hoff says yes.
Andrew Shepherd, yes.
You got the job.
Fantastic.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, so that brings us now to our 7:15 appointment.
And I wrote it in the decision to make the condition.
Thank you, folks.
Is in the bylaw, this is the first one through, so I have to apologize. In the bylaw, it does say the applicant shall obtain an exempt building commissioner written. I didn't see that in the packet,
Okay,
so I did that. And honestly, I haven't been able to go through the 83 period.
sure, okay,
Just continue.
sure.
So there you go.
Thank you. Okay, so, and just for my own, we close the public hearing now?
Oh, good, yes.
Okay.
Well, your vote closes it, but yeah.
Okay, all right, so we've already closed it. All right,
Okay.
so that brings us to 7:15, One Trophy Ave, an application for site plan approval, a detached accessory dwelling unit from the owners Andrew and Christine Thompson, tonight represented by Mr. Schultz. Billy, welcome. Billy, when you're ready,
I'm ready.
if you can give us a little rundown on,
What's that?
when you're ready, you can give us a rundown on One Trophy Ave.
I will. Does everybody have any information on it? I have some plans here if somebody would like one.
Would anyone like one of the plans?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
I can pull it up. I can pull it up on
You can use that one.
Oh, can you
That's a
pull it up
full
on
one.
the
It's just
screen?
not stapled. That's
Okay.
the.
And here's the application and some supporting information.
T-Kin, would you be willing to do a screen share with the planning board admin?
Hello?
Hartley, do you know who's T-Camming tonight?
I think it's Rick.
Rick? Rick, can you hear us? Calling Rick. Well, so we'll have to,
Yes, Andrew.
could you do a screen sharing, to the planning board admin?
You want it on that PC?
To the account that's labeled the planning board admin, Beth's computer.
On the planning board admin computer, it's already there.
Oh. Very good, Jeff. Thank you.
Would you like one of them?
I do have a copy here, but if.
You guys, he's only got the application. That's the plan.
Here, I'll give you this. I got the copy online.
This is the most useful, probably this one.
Pardon me?
That'd be the most useful one.
Oh, look at
So you can talk about driveway and all that.
We got it.
Is it an existing structure now?
No, not at all.
It's a new one.
It's a brand new structure, yeah.
So the way-
Outlined in the back pages there in red.
The way we wrote the bylaws was that anything that is outside of the existing structure would come to us. We would make
I
a
see.
review for, make sure there's good parking and
Right.
But this was a detached unit.
this is.
Detached,
this is
yeah.
detached. So Billy, if you want, just give us a little rundown.
I will. It's, you know, I mean, it's for an in-law, but there isn't those anymore. So, I've been to, Rick, I have a plan of attack there. We're gonna actually run the sewer into the basement to an ejector pump, which you can do if it's, 25% or less. So this is a 4-bedroom septic. There's 3 in the main house and 1 in the ADU, so that all works pretty well. They've thought this out and that's where they want it. It's probably the least obtrusive place you could ever be. The next backyard to that is heavily wooded and it's actually a house on Haynes Road. This is, you know, Trophy Ave has like 5 houses on it. It's a cul-de-sac. The structure is 648 square feet. I think the main house is 17 something. And, it's about, I don't know, 25%. It's not anywhere near the 50%. It's 1 story. It's got a, you know, kitchen / living room, a bathroom and a bedroom in it. It's on slab, no cellar. You know, it'll be so, well insulated, you can heat it with a match.
Got a full basement?
No basement,
No
no,
basement.
no, trying to keep the cost down. I did Title V, last Thursday, and that's all fine. System looks good. It's not really that old.
Is it gonna match the style and materials on the existing house?
Yes, the siding will be the same. It's got, I mean, it's vinyl sided. It's nothing too elaborate, but, it's absolutely gonna, you know, be the same color and, trim detail that the, main house has.
Well, I don't even see where it'd be visible from the roadway, actually.
It really isn't. I mean, if you went by quickly, you could probably see the gable end, and
Right.
then there's only a little narrow, open spot to the end of it. I don't know, it's not a lot to it, this one.
That's exactly what this is for.
Now, I know you guys are reviewing the plans in front of you, but Robert, do you have any thoughts or questions?
No, I think this is,
This is
What
our
the-
first one.
yeah,
Yeah,
this is
that's what Beth
exactly
said.
what we were hoping to see happen here, so.
Well, it's perfect. They, well, she couldn't have done a detached unit, you know, in the old, they had to be attached and, you know, the maximum was 800 square feet.
Yeah,
So we've actually been dealing with this since the fall, but, you know, with all the stuff coming through in January, we kind of put it off till spring.
Sure.
I see that it complies with everything we were anticipating.
So, there is some questions on the thing about cover, so, you know, towards the back of this, there's ample wooded area. Cover, like, you know, making sure you're not putting it on top of somebody.
Screening.
Screening, trees.
Oh,
Okay.
We have some pretty good natural screening there.
So you're on well water here?
No, this is town water.
It says right here, it's
Yeah,
property
I know,
served
I made
by,
a mistake.
oh, okay, okay.
I made a mistake on one of the forms. Beth just brought it to my attention.
Okay, so then you're gonna contact the water department, so
I
that's gonna be
do,
fixed.
and I don't, you know, I mean, it's kind of an interesting situation. I'm not sure how they do that. So the water comes into the house and then it's gonna be fed off the house. So I don't really know how you'd,
The well water or the?
Huh?
Town water.
Well, that's why. you
town
probably-
water comes into the house.
That's
We're not
probably
gonna run
why,
another water line through there.
well, that's probably why it says, have you contacted the water department?
Oh, I just wrote no, that I hadn't I wrote not applicable because I I didn't realize that, I don't know how we're gonna do this.
Well, but see, this needs to be fixed.
I didn't realize
there was Because he town water says-
out there.
Because he says there's no town water.
Yeah.
And now you're saying there is town water.
I beg your pardon?
You said there, I'm
I
asking,
wrote, it said, is the property
Served
served
by
by, I
town.
made a mistake there.
so it should say yes.
Should say yes, it is.
Okay, so,
We were talking about changing that. and We
okay.
we got too busy
So that needs to
earlier
be
on.
fixed. And then if it's yes, then you need to contact the Townsend Water Department.
Yes, but I'm trying to figure out what for because
Well, then contact them and they'll tell you.
this is the first one. I don't know if they're gonna know.
Well,
Oh,
So the water line comes into the house
yep.
and then it's gonna be fed into that addition. So, as Beth,
But the water department might have specific requirements of going from that house to the other house.
well, there's other issues here too, because right now, the new bylaw relieves this family necessity kind of thing, and so now it's by right, so a lot of people will be using them for rental income.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's
So
true.
in that regard, it's probably be beneficial for you to have separate water and separate electric on these units. Because you could get into some legal issues with,
You can, although, you know, if you rent a place and you don't have the water separately metered, you know, the landlord pays for the water in any apartment house. So,
well, that would be true with electric
you know,
too, yeah.
that happens almost universally.
Okay, I'm just making you aware. of
Yeah,
that,
no, I understand. I didn't anticipate that avenue.
Mm.
And, I'm absolutely gonna, touch base with them, but I think they'd be pretty disheartened if someone told us we had to run a separate water line in so we could meter it. You know, that starts to shoot the budget out of the water.
Okay, well, it has nothing to do with this board, actually. It's-
It's their decision.
Adam, I mean, you've been doing this more. Have you come across a problem like this or how they?
I have, I mean, it's, Robert's point is correct, that it's not really for the purview of zoning or planning boards, it's for the water division or water department or water district, depending upon the community you're in. But I have heard discussions occur about how communities are gonna treat this. I think the consensus is that for the most part, they're not going to require dedicated water lines off the main. Number one, because of the cost associated with that. And number two, because these are still, I mean, by their very terminology that's used, they're accessory dwelling units. They're still accessory to the principal dwelling on the street. You're correct, Robert. They don't need to be relatives, blood relatives or otherwise. They can be completely unaffiliated. They can be rented. Both of the units can be rented. But that's no different than a duplex or a triplex where they've got a
That's
single
kind of
service.
what I was thinking.
But you're right, under Massachusetts landlord tenant law, if you don't have the meters, if you don't have individual meters so as to gauge, then the landlord has to pay for the full sum of the water coming into the site. So they'll have to find some way to internally meter it so they can capture what's coming off the main house and over to the accessory if they want to rent the accessory or rent them both and charge the individual tenants. So there are some legalities there they'll have to deal with, but my guess is they'll allow you to tap it off the main house. But again, I'm not speaking for the water department, that's just my guess as to how it'll be done, because those are the conversations I've heard in other communities.
So that's interesting. You know, you come to another point, whereas they still have the same capability if they're, you know, attached, basement, addition, or whatever, but they're going to the same structure. I'm just not sure exactly. You'd probably have to, separate it somewhere inside and
Sure.
double meter it.
Well, I mean,
Well,
as,
a lot of, it's beyond what our board can do,
Yeah,
anything.
I understand. No, I
You
appreciate
can
it.
sub-meter the panel.
so, so Hartley, any thoughts, comments, questions?
Mm, No, I think everything here is, covered. It's, has its own, it's gonna tie into a septic tank and, I've never built a house before, so forgive me for
That's
this
all right.
elementary question, but how thick and how deep will the concrete foundation be?
This foundation is on the smaller side. It'll be, it's required to be 4 feet below finished grade for frost
The
protection.
footing.
So this is gonna be roughly 4-foot high foundation with a 10 by 20 inch footing, and there'll be steel in it, and it'll be 8 inches thick.
Thank you,
That's, you know, there's nothing less than that.
thank you.
I think we should move there.
I think we ought to hear what Carol has to say.
Oh, I just want this page corrected to reflect
Oh, we
the
can do that.
actuality, so,
You can change it.
yeah, so,
Oh, actually, I think I have your original here. Yes.
and then just contact the water department for whatever reason you have to contact the water department for.
I think this is the original. Everything's stable together. So. This is your original.
Yeah.
So if you just change this one. And then
Adam, would that be something we could make as a condition, just contact the water department?
Yeah.
You can, it's actually not even a requirement of your bylaw to begin with. It's just on the application form as sort of a flag to let the applicant know that you've got to contact the water department because you have to work on water service. much like
You're
you
welcome.
have on
Sure.
Sewer service or septic.
Sure.
But there's no harm in making a condition to contact the water department, that's fine.
Yeah, I would think of it if we were coming off the street or something like that, but I didn't even,
Well, like it's been brought up, it's a significant cost to do that.
yeah.
And if the landlord bears the cost of the water, and it's like Adam said, it's a secondary accessory unit, so
Yeah.
it's really related to the main property, so that's totally up to.
We did have a 2-family and they were selling laundry services out of.
So what about, and what about parking for this?
Oh, this is, do you still have
No, I
the site
didn't.
plan there?
Yeah, I think there was, I think they,
So this
it's
has
required
there's
one.
a 2-car garage underneath and then room for at least 2 or 3 cars. So we're anticipating 3 cars right now. It should be ample.
Total for the property, 3-car total for the property?
No, I'm saying you could fit probably 4 to 5, but
Oh,
we only have 3.
so it's not an issue.
It's not an issue.
This one might be the one you're looking at.
And how long will the driveway be?
No, we're not touching the driveway. It's, I don't know, it's already in.
All right, okay.
It's 100% in. There's no changes to
Okay.
the existing driveway.
That's the unit, right? That's the proposed. Well, it doesn't really say.
What's that?
It doesn't really show where the parking would be.
Well, I think I wrote in the application, there's 2 bay garage under, so there's 2,
Under the existing.
yeah, right now, yeah.
So that covers the main.
That covers 2 in the main house, and then you got room for 3 more cars out there, but you're only gonna need 1.
I know, but we don't know where they are.
Oh, all right.
Bill, do you want to just show, maybe you can come around and show Robert on the,
Yeah.
or up on the screen?
This is,
Yeah, so there's 2 on the inside there,
Yes.
and then there's room for 3 cars there, but there'll only be 1 in this area. The driveway comes in narrow and then expands out.
And there would be no new driveway up to the unit?
No new driveway.
Okay.
He's gonna do a landscape walkway up there. That's their plan.
Mhm.
I think there's already a walkway out to this porch, and then it's like adding 20 feet from there.
I'm not sure how proportional it is, but that driveway looks bigger than the existing house.
So there's two inside and then there's room for 3 cars outside, but there's gonna be a total of 3 cars there.
Well,
I should have brought a daughter.
I tend to think that if whatever works there will work,
Yeah.
but, I think henceforth we should probably have parking shown on these drawings.
Maybe-
Right, yeah,
Make a section of the application.
to include that.
Sure,
I'm sure it's gonna change over time.
sure.
Well, the thing is, you're our first applicant like this, so we.
That's all right, it's my first one detached. I've done many of them under the old
Right.
regulations.
So, in reality, these things work out just between the occupants of both buildings usually, but
Yeah, you know what, the biggest thing I
trying
think
to
is,
prevent a problem is
Right.
what we can try to do here. All right, thank you.
Okay, Hartley, any thoughts or questions?
No, I think it's pretty well explained. Thank you.
Sure, and Carol,
Yeah,
yours was the one.
Yeah, I'm good.
And then, so Beth did provide a draft decision for us in the portal. Given our discussions, where did we go? So I added a section that says under the conditions, the applicant will contact the water department.
Yeah.
It's pretty bland and straightforward.
Yeah.
Whatever they work out, I mean, it's outside of our purview.
Well, right, but, yep, that's fine.
So the other conditions is somewhat similar to the last decision that we had. Condition A is all exterior lighting shall conform to Article 9, Section 145-52, Article 10, 145-60, and any other applicable lighting requirements of the Townsend zoning bylaw. Condition B, the applicant shall obtain and submit to the building commissioner a written report of the Board of Health explaining that the changes, if any, to the existing septic systems or the existing and proposed units to conform to the requirements of the state sanitary code have been agreed to by the applicant. In Part C, the project shall adhere to the applicable zoning bylaws, planning board rules and regulations, and any conditions imposed by the Board of Health, the building commissioner, and all applicable local and state environmental agencies otherwise waived. Section D, any accessory dwelling unit intended for occupancy by a person with a disability shall be subject to the provisions of NGL C40A, Section 3, Connect. And then E, the applicant will contact the water department.
I don't know if it's necessary to address the disability component there. I mean, even an occupant that's not disabled could become disabled later on. So I think we just leave that alone.
So strike that condition.
Okay,
Rest of the board, thoughts?
yeah, I'm fine with that.
I make a motion, we, accept as presented by Andrew here with the exception of the disability clause.
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that decision approves for 1 Trophy Ave. So.
Thank you.
Go build.
You can't leave yet, one down.
Now I've got to go to the building department.
Well, Billy's also representing 83 Pittsburgh Road.
What, are you starting a new business, Billy?
Pardon me?
You starting a new business, ADU?
This one's got me going enough.
So this was a 725 appointment, 83 Pittsburgh Road, application for site plan approval, addition, accessory dwelling unit, owners Nancy and Vicky Pappas. Now, this one Beth hadn't had a chance to review fully.
Correct, but we probably keep it through if you want it. It's
Sure.
very similar to the other project.
Sure,
The only
sure,
difference is it's an addition.
sure.
And I'll pull up the plans and you can see if everything is as,
Let's take the time now and go through it.
if you want to, otherwise we can do it on the 23rd.
I would say, while we're here, we got Billy and we'll just get it out.
The other thing I wanted to mention that I probably should make a motion for the waiver. He had asked for a waiver for, I think I wrote it on the motion, suggested motions page.
For this 83 Pittsburgh Road?
83.
They requested a waiver for engineering, for further engineering. So it's probably appropriate to take a motion and have a vote on that. I'm trying to find where to put it. Put it on suggested motions. Okay, yeah, here it is.
I can look at this one. This is a little smaller, but it's the same thing that's right here. You can take that one right up there. It's a little smaller if you like.
They probably do.
Sure, sure, sure.
Because I'm pretty sure he has a very well, this has already been written.
Sure.
So we know that the engineering is done.
I can explain.
Sure, please,
Pull
Bill.
it up.
So, she's pretty intent on getting going, and, we started this, I think the permit was in October, and, in speaking to, Bob Garside, it was, there was a lot of things coming down the end of the year. I actually came in, the letter was supposed to come back from the state of Massachusetts on September 1st. Well, it did, and they asked for 3 more months to review whatever. They didn't do it till what, January? They passed the law, so we built it as an addition, and we just want to put the kitchen in now, basically.
All right, so this is the existing unit,
That was, we built this house for the Pappases. They own Patriot Pizza,
yes.
and we built that for them in 1994. Excuse me,
Okay, so that's
2000.
their house now,
That's their house now, yeah.
right, and where's their current driveway?
The current driveway is all right in here.
And this is the AD unit going
That's
in the
correct.
rear of the property.
Yeah,
Um,
so, what will happen is once again, there's 2 garage bays under here. There's parking here. The ADU has a single bay garage under, and then she wanted access up to, more convenient first floor, if, eventually she should need it. So I would say this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spots in it. And there's probably 3 cars there now. This, starting right here, this is the all new proposed driveway. We're just grading that out. There was a lot of ledge in there. We have to jackhammer some of it out. So this one has, for the 5 bedrooms, it has a 2,000-gallon tank. And in order, Rick Metcalf, we've already permitted and done all that. We added another 1,000-gallon tank, so
you
it
didn't have
now,
to- you didn't have to increase the leaching field either?
no, because it was funny, because it's been 2004, 20 years, so you forget a little bit, especially at this age. And when I pulled all this stuff out, I went, damn, we made a 5-bedroom septic. So there's 4 in the house and there's 1 in the ADU. So I think what we were trying to do back then was just make it as versatile for everything that we could, because we didn't build that for them. We had it nearly completed when they purchased it. So it's a 5-bedroom septic, and there's 5 bedrooms in it now with the ADU. The only requirement from the Board of Health was to add that secondary tank in for more settling.
All right. I just want to advise the board here that we're looking at a schematic design. You understand that?
Sure.
Right. So it's a conceptual design, and there's no professional engineering being done here at all. So from what this shows, it would seem everything would work, but there's no assurances that they will.
Okay.
So that was my comment.
in terms of the construction of the unit?
Well, if we were talking about a new building on a lot, we'd be expecting more, you know.
It's an attached addition though.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
So I don't think, personally, it all looks like it'll be fine. So I don't know how comprehensive that we should be expecting these to be.
Sure.
And again, whatever doesn't work well, it'll be the burden of the owner, I would think.
Sure, sure.
But I just wanted to make everybody aware of what we're looking at and that it's a conceptual design. So we don't have the advantage of a regular professional layout where we could talk about setbacks and the porosity of the soil and lot coverage and all those other topics.
I did lot coverage on there.
I can see it's probably very.
No, I did
Yeah.
I think we did.
So so this is kind of a challenging thing because the whole purpose of this is to try to get some affordable units in our town without burdening the owners with a lot of other stuff. But we can see the downside of that here.
Billy, you do have a stamp on one of your submissions.
Which one's that, the plan?
Peter M.
That's the original one.
Yeah, this is
That's not a
24.
current stamp.
2001.
That one that's up there?
Yes.
Doesn't that
Oh,
say-
no, that's structural engineering. We put a steel beam in the cellar.
Okay.
That's current.
Sure.
That's from, so the only thing I'd say is that everything that we do here, like every addition, it has to go through the building department. He has a whole layer of scrutiny on setbacks and, I mean, it's not like no one's looking.
No,
at
but I
this.
mean, the planning board has a different level of review.
Sure, I understand, yeah.
So I think it's a great thing, and just like the other one, this is exactly what we're trying to accomplish here.
Right. No, I
It's
understand your
just
point.
that, now that we see two of them, it gives us an opportunity to see what we're doing.
Yeah.
And what we should or should not be considering, or to what level of comprehensiveness that we want from the applicants. So those, in other words, if this was a brand new building and a new project, we would have seen the driveway, what's existing, what's new. There'd be information on the type of roadway surface
Right.
and stuff like that.
I guess my question would be, in playing devil's advocate, if it was just a single lot in a new house, it wouldn't even come to the planning board.
That's true.
Go to the building department, it would be up
That's
to
a
him to
good point.
scrutinize.
I agree with you on that.
I think probably right now with Billy's expertise in town and all the buildings he's constructed and the package he put together, this might be a luxury for us compared to some future.
No,
There's gotta
I
be
think it's
some.
fine. And this is something this board wanted to see happen, and we spent a lot of time on working on this even before the state got involved. So I don't have any objection to anything.
Yeah, I appreciate the questions. I like to learn myself.
It's more about how we handle these in the future, you know?
Sure.
And I think the argument is, we're still dealing with a primary residence there.
Yeah,
And a lot of this, and the objective of this board is to try to promote this kind of activity without making it overburdensome, and to help control costs on these things. Except that every applicant has to, the owner, you've applied on behalf of
that's
the
correct,
owner,
yeah.
has to be aware that these are conceptual ideas of how
Yeah.
this could work. And in reality, they'll probably end up a little different than what everybody planned. So that's where we are.
Some may, this is exact. It's in the manner in which we did it, it's kind of like an as-built. That's it.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, that's what we're doing.
Hartley, any thoughts or comments?
No?
Okay.
It's good to me.
So, just to, see, I think the biggest thing is when somebody comes out, and the neighbor comes and says, you allowed them to do what?
Sure, sure.
You know, so these have, you know, such ample,
Yeah.
coverage and tree line, and, we took on a bunch of trees here, and there's still a 60-foot tree line to the next neighbor,
Nobody's gonna
so
have an issue.
they don't want, a lot of the people don't want, you know, to view their neighbors any more than the neighbors wanna view them.
Well, but everybody has needs too, so.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And again, I think the more activity there is like this, more people will be doing it as well, so.
Yeah, once they figure out that they can do it.
Okay. So we don't have a draft decision, but I think we could probably go off of the similarity from the previous draft decision that we had from Trophy Ave. If that's,
Yeah, we can, pretty much the same.
sure, yeah. So shall we?
As we say in the business, the same thing, only different.
Well, I move that we approve this, have a motion to approve this,
83 Fitchburg Road.
in reflection, it's similar to the previous decision, and would move it for a vote.
Second,
Second.
Harley seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. You're all set. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No problem. All right. So we still have more to do tonight. So, our 7:30
I
appointment.
haven't got any more.
You can go home now.
In fact, we need this. It looks like the original. Sure.
Oh, it's good to see some activity on that ADU stuff.
Yeah,
That's really great.
that's your specialty.
There's the A&R plan. I think the engineer is here online. Stephen?
Stephen?
Yeah.
So, Stephen, thank you for waiting. If you'd like, would you be able to give us a quick overview?
Sure. Yeah, no problem. The town has been working with myself as well as the playground manufacturers to come up with a design for an accessible playground on Whitcomb Street.
I'm gonna go off with this on the cemetery park stuff.
Very nice. Okay, yeah, sure.
And we proposed we submitted an A&R plan with the surveyor to subdivide the property, and in order to have it be a standalone parcel.
And this is where the playground already exists behind this
Correct.
ball.
Yeah. So there's an existing play structure right there right now, and the project is to demolish and remove that and replace it with a up-to-date composite play structure, and also put in rubberized safety surface.
Was there a specific reason why the parcel had to be separated?
Yes. The project is funded through a park grant, and park grants cannot fund improvements on properties that are affiliated with education uses.
Oh.
And if I can add, so there's actually an added complication. So the park grant program requires, as a precondition or a condition of accepting the grant monies, that you place a permanent restriction on the property that it'll be used for playground purposes in perpetuity.
Right.
Well, the property as a whole, as it exists today without this proposed A&R division, is a school property.
You're right.
How can you say it's going to be used in its entirety for playground purposes if it has a school on it?
I got it.
So you need to find a way to carve off the portion that's being used for
Well, this
playground
is a little
purposes.
complicated because I'm on the cemeteries and parks. And currently we maintain that property.
Right.
So is that still gonna happen?
I think it is. I don't think really anything is gonna change. I think this is more to paper the trail, because you might recall there was an article on the town meeting warrant. It wasn't this past annual town meeting. It might have actually been 2 specials ago, but it was on the town meeting warrant, I think in the fall, to accept the grant monies and to provide some additional funding and to accept monies that have been volunteered to the town through residents and through fundraising efforts for the purpose of this playground project. But the parks grant's a big piece of it.
Well, I also understand this has to be all put together before July 1st, I think. Is that correct?
Correct. The money has to be committed prior to July 1st
Right.
under the grant program.
So we gotta move fast.
We're sneaking it under the wire.
So, yeah,
There was one discussion here in the, from cemeteries and park, which we have been maintaining and redoing and preparing for all the new equipment that's coming. There was an oversight in the grant to make
thank you.
Thank you.
the park accessible in terms of parking and wheelchairs. So I think we don't want to not lose the funding we have.
No, we don't want to lose the funding
But
from
that's
the,
something we'll have to come up with another way to address
The parks.
parks.
the grant money. I thought this whole grant thing was to make this an accessible playground.
It was, but it ended up being in the grant proposal, nobody considered access to it. Okay,
So, but technically, that's outside of us subdividing the lot.
right,
Okay,
And to be really clear, I mean, it's not even a subdivision, right? Because it's an approval not required.
Sure.
And it's really the simplest kind of approval not required, because
right,
it's only creating one buildable lot that already exists today, because the parcel B is marked not a buildable lot. It's gonna be a lot for a playground.
right.
Okay.
So all it's really doing is carving off a parcel from the larger buildable lot, which is a buildable lot, already has a structure on it, and will remain a buildable lot.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
willing to go forward with
yeah.
this, get it out of the way.
Yep, yep.
Hartley,
Go.
any comments?
No, I think it's
Let the
laid out
entertainer.
pretty good.
I make a motion that we approve the subdivision plan that's been presented.
I'll second.
Second.
Yeah.
A&R.
Don't grant
Yeah.
subdivision approval.
Right, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I'm getting overboard here.
All right.
I wrote the motion for you, but it should be, yeah, the kind of board endorse the A&R.
Okay,
So we also need to make a motion to waive the filing fee.
Because it's up to municipal.
So here, check out these two motions and consider reading them out loud.
We'll just read them out loud, I'll second.
I make a motion to waive the filing fee for the 1 Whitcomb Street A&R as required. And I written as the purpose of the action is for municipal project, which is a handicap playground. I make a motion to the planning board and
Let's do one at a time.
Okay, I just had one question. Why is it called Whitcomb Ave when it's on like the corner of Eastman and Turnpike?
I think that's just a label. It's just,
It's just a label? Okay, because Whitcomb, whatever is down there, is out or whatever, but is this Turnpike Road in Eastman?
It's because this is one property today.
It's all the school
Oh,
property.
okay.
It takes its address off of it.
It's all,
Okay.
it's all part of the school
Okay.
property.
Okay,
And they have
that's all I just, then I'm fine.
so you need to have a second and then a discussion and a vote on the waiver.
All right. I make a motion, as I previously read, for 1 Whitcomb Street, for this new playground, separating the lots.
So we gotta back up a second. So we're doing the waiver right now.
Right.
So let's just have you from the, because we got a little complicated. We'll read the waiver motion and then we'll have, we'll take a second, have discussion and then vote. And then we'll do this one as well, which is the one you did.
So I just make this motion.
Yeah, just 2.3.1.
Okay. I make a motion to waive the filing fee for 1 Whitcomb Street A&R as requested in a writing, as the purpose of this action is for a municipal project, which is the playground.
I'll second it.
second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
I make a motion that the planning board endorse the A and R presented for number 1 Whitcomb Street.
I'll second it.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Steve.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone.
You as well.
So we have to sign this.
So now we're on to 7:45 with Tracy Murphy from MRPC, the Townsend Economic Development Project update and public forum. Yeah, that's right. So Tracy, welcome. If,
So you guys.
hold on one moment.
Can we sign these now?
Yes, please. I'd like you to do that.
So Tracy, we're just gonna sign these plans and then we'll get to,
There's one more here. This one is you, so. Are you just doing a Mylar? You want to do all of them? Yeah. So these are signed. I know, it's a lot.
Do you want to do the one with the pen over here?
Well, why don't we just go right through all of them? Let him,
Okay.
he can only slip and run the new one, but he's not all the other.
That's
All right.
So I'm using this pen, Hartley.
Catch up.
Which,
Good idea.
I was gonna say, are these all mine now?
No,
Do you want?
no, just one Mylar
Oh,
and
and
then
then the rest of
use-
pen?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Perfect.
And you can't just put an X, Robert, you have to sign your name.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that all, man.
I get some stamps. All right. Hartley, good luck.
All right.
Thank you.
No, not with that, with the pen.
Oh,
Yeah, that'll bleed through.
okay,
This one's
I,
for the Mylar, and this is for the pen.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's all right.
This is your first time.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's, while we have, while everyone's signing, Tracy, let's, if you don't mind, if you give us the rundown of,
Sure.
where you're at.
I know you've got a lot more on your agenda, so I won't take much of your time. I just wanted to touch base about the Economic Development Forum coming up this Saturday from 10 to 12 at the library. As of today, we have 23 people that have taken the survey. I have some different posters that I'm going to put up. The format for the forum is going to be, we're going to have two separate groups. One will be discussing logo and slogans, and the other group will be talking about the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in town. Beth, I don't know if I can share my screen. I do have a couple of things.
Sure, you want to ask for Tracy Murphy?
I think it, our TCAM friend,
Yeah, Jack.
Rick, I believe, could you have Tracy
Tracy,
Murphy?
you're all set. You can share.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now it's my turn.
Good for you.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you.
So just to give you a quick idea of some of the first question is, what word best captures the town. These are some of the ideas, for the things that have been said. And I'll have this poster there on Saturday, so if people would just want to write on it, they can. Some of the other things are questions such as, how important is it to market Townsend's history? How important to market Townsend's small businesses, which I think you all, everybody supports this. Outdoor parks are important. Non-recreational opportunities, of course, library and things. And then the official seal, many communities develop like a different logo or slogan. And this is kind of a little bit, some people aren't sure, some people yes, but there are some 30%, a third of the people say no so far. And then different type of marketing. There's a lot of different examples. We'll go over this on Saturday. And then different places people get information. And then there are a couple people that are interested in being on an economic development tourism committee, which is great. So here's a draft agenda for Saturday. We'll introduce, and then we'll do an introduction on what the forum's for, and how we're going to, what we're going to discuss. And then, of course, breakout groups, people go one to the other, and then halfway through flip. And then we're going to recap of things that, discuss highlights and different points of the discussions. And then we'll discuss the next steps. So that's pretty much it.
All right, thank you, Tracy. So you were saying you had 20 respondents to your survey at the moment?
I have 23.
23.
Yep. And I believe I'm going to get some from the senior center. I've got to grab, they're going to do those hard copy. So I'll be able to add those. So
do you take any, you don't take any demographic data, do you, in the survey?
No, we didn't in this.
Sure. Got it.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how, it'll be interesting to see how it comes out at the end in terms of, if we feel, I think if anything, it's a great direction and thoughts to work with, but I'm sure, in a town of 8,000 to 9,000 in terms of having a representative survey, of the residents. I mean,
I think I think this is the first of many surveys that we're going to have. It's kind of a starting point, and I can see a couple more going out for different things. A little bit more pointed questions, and there may be some demographics included in that.
Sure, certainly. So I know the board members have mostly wrapped up our signing of the previous pages, but you guys have any, start with you, Hartley? Any?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds great.
I'll start thinking of a story.
Okay. As a matter of, I guess, scheduling, do any of you plan to attend this Saturday?
I won't be able to.
No.
So I'll be out of town, so it doesn't appear you're gonna have any planning board members present.
Okay.
But I do appreciate you including us in your welcome potentially. So.
Yeah, sure. I'll explain, why this, the application that the planning board submitted and things, and it's, give some background.
Sure. We're certainly looking forward and hope that it goes very well, and excited to hear how it went.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy. What was that? Ooh.
I know it's kind of late.
Yeah, sure. Tracy, just if you're still on, got a quick question for you. Do you have any thoughts or recommendations on methods on reaching more people for the survey? Or do you know how it's been pushed out already?
Oh, There we go. We've done the website. I've done some flyers. They hung up. This summer, I'm actually going to be spending some time in Townsend, going into the businesses and things like that. I don't know if you have, like, if there's an water bill or something we could put the QR code in. That was effective in some of our other towns. I don't know, Karen, if you have any suggestions.
Oh, that's how
I do.
we've reached out before, is in the water bells and,
That we
just
did.
hanging posters, maybe on the Facebook pages.
Mhm.
I don't know, does the town now have its own Facebook page?
Yeah, we have, what's going on, Townsend?
But that would be an individual posting. We don't have a town Facebook page.
Oh, no, we don't, no.
I know they do have these surveys at the senior
No, but there
center.
was,
They have a bunch of them there.
what's,
I would think the water bill, or I don't imagine we could get on like the excise tax bill or property tax.
time.
Yeah, but, well, is there a hard cutoff for your survey?
Well, we were gonna stop this one by Friday so that I would have some stuff to discuss on Saturday. But with such a low response rate right now, I'm not really comfortable with that. I'd kind of like to get more responses. So
Maybe you'd be able to use, as a conversational point, what you have thus far, but maybe we could now, seeing that we're not getting a lot of traction just yet, maybe would you be willing, Beth, to reach out to the water department and see if they would be willing to put this on their bill? And the upcoming bill?
Maybe, yeah. Do you want the actual public info session? I don't know, I don't know if it makes sense to postpone it at this point, where you don't, if you've only had 23
sure.
responses, is anybody going? You know what I mean?
I guess in my head, I'm viewing the public info session not totally as the culmination of the survey, but also like a point to kind of sit and discuss for the public.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't think that it would need to be canceled. I don't know if other
Yeah.
board members feel differently.
No, I wouldn't think.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, you may not have, you may only have the patrons that are visiting the library to show up, but
Sure.
then again, you could tell them, I mean.
I do know I've seen similar things though on Facebook, on those.
Sure.
And so some people do respond to that.
I'm talking about attending the forum. I
Yeah.
just feel like
Yeah.
there's no way to tell, because there's no like RSVP or registration.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Saturday comes around and no one's there and it's up.
I wish I had the time available, I'd go, but
Yeah.
I did have someone bring it up at the band concert. The fire department hosted the
thank
band
you.
concert.
that's a good idea.
That's
It-
awesome.
It was one of the gentlemen who came in earlier when we were talking about, one of Patrick's, maybe neighbors or friends or something, but
That's great.
he was talking about it, so it's, word's getting around a little bit. Maybe it's just two people that'll make it, but.
Yeah.
Tracy, do you have any, you have more experience doing this with other towns.
Mhm.
I don't know if Karen, either she unmuted for a moment, but do you have any thoughts about going forward with this Saturday?
I can, when I get to work tomorrow, I can post something on the 2 Facebook pages that I belong to,
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great.
what's going on and what's not going on.
Sure, yeah, that'd be great. So Tracy, do you have any thoughts about moving forward with this Saturday? Given
Yeah,
what-
I think we should still go forward and if people, hopefully we'll have some. I know there was some interest in the marketing, so.
Okay,
All
yeah.
right, great.
And Beth, you're also willing to reach out to the water department about the bill and try to get we'll keep the survey open longer and, try to push it out that way.
Okay, yeah, definitely. All right.
Yep,
Make sure.
okay.
And maybe you want to ask the treasurer's office, maybe we can find our way onto a property tax. bill.
Property tax.
That may be more negative feedback.
Kidding.
Okay, so
We know that gets read.
That's true.
Everyone will see the survey.
yeah.
I don't imagine that's happened. Okay, well, thank you, Tracy.
Yep,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Alrighty,
Um,
have a great night.
Thank
You
you.
too.
You too. Okay, so that, I don't know if Joe is still with us. Look, here we go.
Joe is still with you.
Joe, I saw you get on in the beginning and I felt a little bad and I'm glad you've made it this long with us and I appreciate you being here.
That's fine. Yes. I want to make sure I'm here for the whole thing because things get taken out of order and.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So, I believe we have 5 things to discuss tonight. One of them is the contract for the planning assistance grant project to fix the site plan review. And there were 4 items that Beth brought to my attention about the MBTA law itself. All right. The first, she suggested adding some stronger stormwater language to the law. It was similar language that you have elsewhere in the bylaw, and that was fine. I have added it to there. I sent an updated version of the. Would you like me to share the document so that we can go over it?
You know what, that'd probably be great. So
Yes.
Which one do I?
our favorite Rick from TCAM, would you be willing to share screen with Mr. Boyle?
He's all set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so. Share. All right. So if you recall, in the multifamily overlay district, in development standards, down here in number 4, there was like 2 or 3 line item about the soils shall basically be good enough. And Beth suggested this language instead, which refers to your excellent NIPD's stormwater bylaw, which then in turn refers to your stormwater regulations that are found in the subdivision regulations. I ran all that by, including both of the documents, by the MBTA Communities Office, and they were fine with it. So I have added this, turned this item 4 into what you're seeing here.
Correct.
Okay. Item. Any comments?
No.
Okay. Item 2. Okay. Okay. Items 2, 3, and 4. Beth suggested language authorizing the board to require applicants to pay for outside reviews, which you have for other types of permits. She also suggested she had some language changes for the site plan review, comparing Ashby to Townsend, and she also wanted to reopen the discussion about a butter notification.
Joe, is this under F?
Under F?
What we're seeing on screen? I'm not seeing.
Oh, okay. There, let me get rid of that. All right. All right. No, it's not. It's not under that. These are other items that aren't in the bylaw. All right. They are. Let me see. All right. Let me get this up. Okay. Now go back here, and I'm going to share again. This is the email I sent to Beth so that we can go over what each of these items are. All right. The stormwater language is number 1 that we did. The addition of language about the applicant paying for outside reviews, discussion of site plan review language. She had requested me to do a comparison between the existing language and the site plan review section that you had that's currently in place for ADUs and is being proposed to be amended for the multifamily overlay district, and compare that to the site plan review language in Ashby's multifamily overlay district. I have a memo on that we can go over if you like. And the other item was a discussion of a butter notification for MBTA site plan reviews.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's go one by one.
What I wanted to say about those is that that's all site plan review stuff, which actually falls into the site plan review special permit project, the PAG project that we're going to be doing. And if you recall, that is planned to be done and put on the same town meeting schedule as the MBTA zoning amendments. So what I suggest is not holding up the MBTA pre-approval compliance submittal for these site plan review changes any further, and let me do those, make those site plan review changes as part of the PAG project. And you know, so we can be discussing them, you know, not hurrying to get it all done tonight because this needs to be put in. I noticed your regulations. You currently have regulations for your for your special permits and for your subdivisions. You don't have a set of regulations for site plan approvals in particular, and that's because your site plan review section is a special permit. And so your special permit regulations apply to it. So I realized as I was going over this, that as part of this upcoming project for the site plan review special permit, I not only need to write language for the zoning bylaw, but we're also going to have to come up with a set of regulations for site plan approval, like the regulations you have for other permits. And I think that in between the zoning language and the regulations, that's the right place to take care of 2 through 4, especially the one about the applicant pays. I suggest that that number 2 here, that I handle that in a set of site plan approval regulations, referring to your something 53 account. Chapter 53 account, which you use for funding outside reviews everywhere else. I'll just copy that language into similar language in writing your regulations there.
That sounds reasonable.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Board manager.
I'm sorry. Were you done? I was going to go on to my next thing.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think we're okay with what you suggested.
Okay.
Agree.
Okay. All right. All right. Jumping to number 4 here, discussion of a butter notification. If you recall, there was a discussion at the meeting about I think this might have even been that last December meeting when Adam was there for that one too. And you chose to take out a butter notification for the site plan approval process for ADUs.
Right.
Now, how do you feel about about a butter notification for you canceled you got rid of the public hearing and the abutter notification, and it just became a public meeting for site plan approval for ADUs.
That was only for that one use.
Only for ADUs. My question was going to be, do you feel the same way about the site plan approvals process for multifamily overlay district?
No.
I wouldn't think so.
No. Okay. All right. So we do need, okay. Do you want a public hearing?
Yes.
And we'll just do a quick pulse check. I know Robert's speaking and I'm seeing head nods, but
Yep.
Hartley, how do you?
I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
Carol?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, ADU is a whole separate code. though.
Sure.
Yep,
Yeah, vastly
Yep,
different.
no, I agree.
All these others
Same, yeah.
are the same.
Yeah,
Okay. So, okay. Now, in terms of notification, the state law for a butter notification leaves it up to the town. Whether it's only direct abutters within 300 feet, blah, blah, blah. For an MBTA community's site plan review, who do you think needs to be notified? Options are often direct abutters, including abutters across the street, or abutters to abutters within a distance.
Well,
what,
Standard is 300 feet, yeah.
Any abutters within the district,
well,
within
then-
the overlay district.
shouldn't we keep it consistent? If it's 300 feet now?
No, this is an overlay district.
Okay,
So those could be more than one district within it. Okay?
okay. I see.
And then those districts have their own abutter standards. You know, for anything that would happen in each of them.
Okay,
So it's gonna be a much broader profile to everybody in the overlay district, I would think.
Well, if we include the language in the overlay district designating its own abutter requirements, then that will be one of the parts of the overlay zoning where the overlay district rules control rather than the underlying. So if you're worried about there being if you're worried about there being multiple requirements for abutter notification, we can handle it that way. So there's only one.
Okay. So
I would want to make sure there's only one.
yeah,
the question
yeah,
is,
because otherwise it gets too complicated.
Sure.
Yeah,
and too many notices.
yeah, and too
But-
expensive.
But the other part of this is, I think you have to propose something for us to look at, for us to really put our heads together on this, because, you know, if we think of the overlay district we're proposing here, there's abutters across the street and, so I think that would have an impact on them.
But isn't that true of any abutters? That could be across the
So I
street?
would say within the district and immediately abutting the district and across the street from the district.
I think that standard makes a lot of sense because this is not a heavily cut up, parcellated part of the town.
Right.
Okay.
So getting your direct abutters and abutters across the street, we don't need the rule about 300 feet. They're almost all gonna include more than 300 feet. So that would make sense.
Okay.
Okay.
Why don't you give a shot at that, and then
Okay.
we'll have time to focus on what's being presented.
Yes, that is absolutely the way that I want to do it. And I'm glad that I'm having this extra time to do so and including this in the next project. I would like to feel the board out on just a couple of more questions tonight, to get your sense of what you want me to do, to bring you. That's okay.
Yep.
Okay, the comparison of Ashby versus Townsend. All right, let me got a memo on that. All right, stop share. Let me find that one. Okay, sharing again. All right. You can all see this memorandum?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Public notice. Okay, this is what we just went over, that question about the public notice. All right, phasing. If you recall, I had a phasing section in the old multifamily overlay district site plan approval section, and we took it out when we turned it to the ADU section because you can't phase an ADU project. It's just an ADU project. But we need to put that back in, I think.
Yep.
Okay. Add back phasing. Okay, screening for parking. Ashby's section contains more detail than Townsend's. Townsend's, that doesn't bother me so much. Townsend's screening section, if you recall, I wrote that bylaw when we were looking a lot further up on Route 13 on that other site, which was heavily wooded. And now we've got a section that isn't heavily wooded. The previous section was kind of envisioning leaving, the screening would be about leaving the natural vegetation. So I think I need to tweak that a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. Yours, there are, Ashby's proposal contains specific language about screening mechanicals and dumpsters. You already have, because you're doing site plan reviews, you have the approval to put that in yourself as conditions, but it would make it better if those were added in. So I suggest that I propose adding a little bit of language about that.
I think that's fine.
Okay. And okay. There was some language in Ashby's bylaw about multiple buildings on a lot and their orientation being compatible, and it's just kind of vague language that doesn't create a standard. That I didn't think it was that important. And number 6 was the stormwater management language. So I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what direction to go forward on all of these. If any of you have any specific comments on any of these topics that you want me to make sure I look at as I go through and finalize this, let me hear them now.
I have a question. Currently, where are we with setbacks on this district?
Okay,
I'm thinking in terms of the screening question, okay? Now, the other thing on the screening question that Ashby has with screening mechanical equipment and dumpsters, I mean, we can go through this whole process, but inevitably, those things aren't maintained to begin with, and there's no enforcement after the building's built. So I don't know if we should even exhaust ourselves with that subject. Because how are we going to enforce it later?
Or you not.
Right.
Yeah.
So the other remaining question about the screening would be, are we talking about landscape screening from the public view? Is that what we're talking about? But we already have setback requirements that probably can address most of that screening, other than some landscape review to make sure it's vegetation that will survive in the soil and stuff like that. But I don't think we have to get over concerned with that stuff.
No, I think that's fair. Joe, do you have any initial comments to Robert's questions or points, or can you include that thought as you're thinking through screenings?
Yeah, I will. What I have on the screen now is the parking section. We talk about buffers, not screenings, but buffers. The idea here was, yes, that these would be plantings. I think that the only thing I'd like the recommendation I'd make here is that I'd make this language a little more about the installation of plantings and a little less about the preservation. But otherwise, I think that what we've got here, is about right.
I think landscaping buffers are what we're really thinking of in terms of screening.
Mhm.
Any physical construction or object beyond natural landscape is not anything I think we should address.
No, because screening to me is landscape.
Right, because I think what we're viewing is, on a specific project, do we have adequate or do we need screening?
Sure.
Not necessarily require it, but the ability to review that and say that would be beneficial.
Official, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not looking
Okay.
for actual screen structure,
Right.
just something stuck in the ground and make it
That
grow.
could be an art poster, for God's sake.
Yes, it could.
Or billboard.
Harley, any initial thoughts on?
No, I think they're covering it very well. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board members? Okay.
Do we, I don't know if this is worth talking about, but in terms of the architecture of the building, it's harmonic designs or something, so we don't have
I think we have
a
covered.
collection of architectural stuff in one big mess or chaotic arrangement. Is there anything like that?
It's like a harmonious.
Well,
whatever.
I don't want that too. I don't want a monotonous bar thing.
Right, no, that's true.
But then again, that could get carried away.
But how much, say, legally do we have over the design?
I mean, it's a little, some, and through site plan review, you could, some, it's more about layout. But if I can offer one other a thought here, this site plan review focused on architectural design, that's really most necessary and most useful when we're talking about building in an already developed area and making sure what goes in is appropriately respectful and sensitive to the context. You don't really have a context at this site.
Well, the problem is we don't have a prototype that you could apply. So now you're thinking about an unlimited number of potential configurations and whatever it could be. And so that sort of says, is the town entitled to some input on that? Or do we just not even go there and then waiver the privilege of even considering it? That's the question, I think.
Well,
And the thing is, because there's no way to foresee what building types or what we can anticipate might be in a building type that would happen. I mean, in one instance, we could talk about a lot of tiny home configurations or colony type of developments or high-rise type developments and, multi-family units in a cluster. So there's just so many different possibilities, which is going to be a product of whoever's going to be developing it and the parties involved. So, and then what happens through our board here is we have developers that want to use the same plan 1,000 times in 20 different cities. So, so I don't know how we can even consider any of that.
We'll have Joe stew on it, and if he comes up with something attractive, he can come back to us with it.
I mean, that's a concern. And again, if we have I don't think we need a lot of controls, but if we have the control with screening in that regard, maybe we don't have to focus so much on on the building profiles and stuff.
So if it's unattractive, we could put more screening in.
Just tell them to make it look nice.
Yeah.
Joe, any more thoughts or comments or?
Yeah, I really do think in terms of this this concern that you've got here, the fact that we're talking about just an open, undeveloped piece of land that doesn't have a whole lot near it is working on your side. You don't have to worry about things not fitting into the context, and it's making its own new context. So there isn't really, this is about really, these types of concerns are largely about protecting the neighborhoods from inappropriate, insensitive development. And there isn't a neighborhood close enough, and this doesn't allow buildings big enough, that's really a worry that your buildings would be infringing upon existing neighborhoods. That's my input. The fact that it can be wide open, the fact that there's a lot of options, that could be a good thing too. It allows for some creativity in design. I don't think you should make this too strict and be
Is there any way to provide a guideline as to what kinds of things, instead of mandating, provide some kind of guidelines of what would be most desirable?
There is, and the perfect place to do that would be the regulations for your site plan review.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so yeah. Okay, so now site plan approval regs include some design. Some design regs for the MFOD. Yeah, that's okay. So this project's gonna have to come back and okay. So this site plan review project is gonna include a lot of MBTA multifamily overlay district work. I will make sure we don't have to worry about it screwing up our pre-approval. There's nothing that we talked about here is going to screw our pre-approval application, our compliance review.
Thank you, Joe. Anything else that you need us to make decisions on or confuse you more with?
Look real quick. Make sure. No, I think that pretty much does us for MBTA.
Okay. All right. And then but you've mentioned you also had some stuff for us.
Yes. The project we were just talking about, the PAG, we still need a contract. And I wanted to go over the scope with you about what that's going to look like, what you wanted for meetings and things. So, task one, I guess we can call that tonight, unless you think after this discussion we need to have a dedicated meeting.
I think that tonight's okay, I believe.
Okay. And we've been talking about it quite a bit about it, including the fact that it's now going to include a set of regulations as well. So I'll edit this document to include the creation of a regulations document. Good thing it's a good print. Okay. what I really needed, I really wanted to talk process with you. I'm writing this for, I'm writing this for you, but it needs to be approved and it needs to be put on the, it needs to be put on the town warrant. It's going to want to have the select board's approval. So, this is a short little timeline here. There's only 5 tasks listed here. If you could think and discuss a little bit about what you wanted for a process, who else you wanted me to be presenting things to, public process, presentation to selectmen. What are your thoughts?
Does this have to go on a town warrant?
The zoning amendments to create the new site plan approval has to go on a warrant.
Yes. But not your contract.
No. Once I get your feedback on the contract, I'll write something up to send in to the town administrator.
I mean, certainly having the public involved can always provide some value. I slightly struggle to think that we would have a lot of public interest in
the site plan approval process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe you've had a different experience in other communities, but I struggle to see that.
I don't see that as being a big public.
Sure.
Will this require a public hearing? It's a zoning amendment. It's a zoning bylaw amendment. They all do.
If we're required to do it, then we do it, but it's probably not a lot of input.
Yeah.
I mean, we would still have to.
Sure. It'd be.
You still have to go by the law.
Yeah, so we still have to do.
So there's public notice about it.
Yeah.
But I think he was asking process-wise, maybe, should
So
he,
if we have to do a formal presentation
or an informal of some sort, or that's kind of the impression that I got that Joe might be asking.
regarding the regulations, right? This is what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Just
regarding
the
what
regulation.
he's putting together, who do we want involved? Do we want him to present to the select board? Do we think that's a good idea?
No, I don't. It's gonna complicate everything. I mean, not that
Just a select
I
board.
just think the more people you get involved,
Sure.
the
Yep.
longer it's gonna take to get anywhere.
That's true. That is true. But we do have to do maybe a presentation for
We
the
gotta
public
do what's
hearing.
legally
Sure.
required, and that's.
Yeah.
I would leave it there.
Yep.
We have a pretty good board of people that are here that can develop them, and they're also always gonna have to vote on them anyway, but in
I agree with
terms
you
of
that,
getting input on what to put in and,
yeah,
like,
just
to
go
on
with
forever.
whatever we have to do legally.
Sure.
We'll just comply
Sure.
and not have to go. I agree with Robert, the less we involve.
The only thing, that I guess I think slightly differently would be, it's more of insurance for passage at a town, would be, who would be our stumbling blocks?
Well, I
or who
think-
would-
I think in terms of, why don't we take the print initiative, develop what we think is appropriate,
Sure.
and then present that to the town so they're aware of it ahead of time. And so we can get rid of a lot of crazies at the town meeting, and we can simply say, well, you already knew about it, why didn't you look at it then,
Well, yeah,
Don't tie up the meeting with the snow, right? So
okay.
I think that's the approach that would work best.
Okay.
So this board takes the initiative, develops some kind of guidelines and the regulations that would apply. And then present that to the town, saying, this is what we did, we spent all this time reviewing it, and we think this works best. Take our recommendation and vote for it.
Sure.
All right?
Okay.
How does that sound, Joe?
Yeah, that's it. That sounds good to me. Karen has her hand up, or do you still have your hand up from before?
I can't see Karen's hand. Karen, if you wish, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry I had it up before. I didn't realize. Yeah, this may be more extensive than you may think because all the sections in the rest of the bylaw that say site plan review special permit will have to be changed. So that, and then you'll have a special permit section and a site plan approval section, and then all the other sections that mention site plan special permit.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
we
so
discussed that before.
in the new bylaw, you can have it say, and regulations will be made by the planning board, and we can have them already made, and then you can just have your own public meeting to pass those.
Okay.
And the other thing is, once it's in position, I mean, once it's all approved and passed, those regulations can be modified as needed as
Right.
time goes on.
Right, much easier by the board.
Okay. I agree with that.
And just so I'm not, as I understand it, we're shooting for a November town meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, September, no, late September.
Late September?
Yeah.
Late September.
So, yeah, that's the preference. Town council did weigh in on that, and he feels that's a better plan. Is there any way to get the pre-approval application in to EOLHC with what we have?
Yeah, but especially now that I don't have that a lot of the site plan review approval stuff is going on to the next project. I will be able to get, and I don't have to have that done before I can send in the application, or you can, Beth can send in the application because it has to come from the town. Then yes, I'd be able to get that out still pretty quick. Week turnaround or something, and stay on that schedule.
Okay.
And Joe, do you think you can have this prepared for the late September? I mean, you've got November.
If I get this in mid-June, 90 days would be July, August would be mid-September, but it would get us to mid-September. But they're being sensitive in the MBTA office about people's schedules and how far before and can expedite stuff somewhat, especially where they've already seen a lot of this. Remember, we'd sent in one application and we've had lots of contact with them and we withdrew it. So they'll be able to turn this one around pretty quickly.
Okay.
We hope so.
We hope, oh, yeah, we hope.
Confirm that he can submit it with your review, because I'm going on vacation.
Sure. Okay. Well, I don't know if you were able to hear Beth, because Beth is going to be on vacation in that period. Can we confirm that you would be able to submit this with our review?
Beth, you're going to be out next week?
For 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay. It needs to
So
come
I'm wondering
from
if you could you prepare the submittal, the pre-approval for EOHLC, let the chair of the planning board review it and then get it submitted? Or is that something in?
That could be yeah. All right. I'm gonna need somebody in town hall there to put the language into the boxes on it's a web form, and you enter some answers into boxes and you attach certain documents as well.
Joe, we could probably organize something with Kieran.
Yeah.
Or with Sabrina, we could ask her.
Yeah.
Yes. Would the chair be available anytime during the day next week to do to work on this and review some and okay it?
Joe, I can
break working hours.
I can be available. I will try to make myself available for you.
Okay.
I'm gonna be in Dallas next week on Monday and Tuesday, and then I'll be back, but then traveling again on Friday. So probably the 18th and the 19th would be best. But if
that's Wednesday, Thursday.
Wednesday, Thursday, but I'm happy to do it while I'm remote, but we'll just have to, work through timing between the two of us.
Let's plan on Thursday to be a work day to get this in. It shouldn't actually take all that long, but you know how things are.
Sure.
Just
Cover
remember
your
the
butt.
19th is a holiday.
Oh, yes. So, a week from that, what day is it? It's
A
Monday.
week from Thursday is the 19th, and that's a holiday.
Oh, that's the day I want. All right, then. I guess it sounds like Wednesday's our working day.
Okay. How about you and I get on a separate email chain together and we can kind of fine tune.
Yes, actually, yeah. Actually, right now, why don't I give you my email and my cell?
How about, give me your email and I'll email you. Not that I don't wish for you to share your cell on the planning board, recorded meeting.
Then it'd be all over Townsend.
I know there's a lot still.
You don't want that.
9:16 at night.
Yeah, okay, so I'm Jay Boyle.
Yep.
At mrpc.org. And it's org, not gov.
All right, I'm gonna shoot you a message now. And if not, I'll get it from Beth and or Karen. And, we are both trackable individuals, so we'll be able to figure that out.
Okay.
All right, what else do you need from us, Joe?
No, that was it. That's what I had for you tonight. The PAG PAG contract. Let's go back to that PAG contract. I'm gonna have to put in a public hearing into this timeline. Oh, I didn't share. And yeah, basically what changes from this is that I'm adding the regulations to the scope, and I'm adding a public hearing to the timeline, and we're switching it to a September meeting.
Yeah, Joe, why don't you try and push really hard to get the bylaw completed so they can have their public hearing and everything for September?
Yes.
And then you can work on the regulations after you give them that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's brilliant.
Great
Yes.
idea.
That's why I'm the boss.
You got it.
Eggs by no.
Can I jump in on one more thing?
Please.
September town meeting.
I just wanted to mention that would like to see a joint meeting of the planning board and the select board in July, mostly for planning the MBTA community's vote and town meeting.
Okay.
Primarily for public education, unity, support, the board supporting all the work that we've done so far. I think people watching that would be really, excited about the work that we've done and try to put a positive light on it and get a commitment from both boards to really, move this forward.
Sounds good.
So that would be July, and I'm working with Nelson on that. It would be a joint meeting. So if you could attend, that would be great.
Okay. I am out of town one of the weeks in July. The week after the 4th. Let me see here what that is.
That's the week of the 7th.
Yeah, 7 through 11 are the weekdays. So that's the one I won't be here for.
Okay.
Does it matter? I'm gonna be gone 2 weeks in July.
Okay, that's fine too. It's more of an informational discussion.
Okay.
I don't know where I'm going to be.
I know I'm gonna be on a cruise ship, so.
Sort of an update on all the work that's gone on so far. It's been a while since they've had an update, so this would be great.
Beth, can you get us a date as soon as possible on that?
Sure, yep. I'll work with the date.
Thank you.
All right, and I think that pretty much does me. I just wanted to say how interesting it was to come here and see my ADU bylaw being used. Was that the first? Was that the first one?
Yeah, we got two tonight.
Yeah.
Same applicant, two different projects.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's true.
So, that seemed fairly painless.
It
yeah,
was.
it was. Yeah,
It accomplished a lot, I think, and gave us some insight as to things that we might consider in the future,
Mhm.
or maybe one of the beauties of it all is it's all based on the primary owner, and so that takes a lot of normal pressure away because a lot of the burden goes to the owner now, rather than the board. And so subject matters like utilities, we have to deal with. Subject matters like parking really impacts the owner more than it does the butters. And so it went pretty well.
And the fact that was just that conceptual sketch there seems like the bylaw was user friendly enough for a homeowner, which
That's
is
right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was very pleased by that section of the meeting.
It was great.
good.
So
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you for having me. Nice to see you all. I won't take up any more of your time.
okay, thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
I
All right,
have a request for the board, if I may.
please.
Back with 83 Fitchburg Road, when you voted to approve the site plan approval, I was wondering, since I hadn't prepared the decision yet, is it possible for you to allow me to sign the decision with his review? So when I'm on vacation, I'll come in and I'll do it. But if you'll take a vote to allow me to sign on your behalf with a review of the chair. And that way I can get it to the building department, because he already has his building permits applications done. So yeah, I don't want to, it all kind of works in tandem going along with that.
I don't have a
User-friendly.
problem with that.
Yeah, okay, so, I'll make a motion to have Beth sign along with the chair
Second.
for 80, what is it, 83?
So it's the decision for 83 Fitchburg Road, ADU.
ADU.
Yeah.
Carol
Okay.
made the motion, Hartley seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, the motion passes.
Just don't make a habit of it.
Okay.
So I'd like to, we're gonna jump back to 1.4, which is to review the meeting minutes. I believe so it was April 7th, 2025, April 7th, April 14th, May 19th, and also May 13th.
I think that's June 9th? No, that's today.
Or, sorry, that's where they're listed.
Okay.
4/7/25, 4/14/25, 5/19/25,
And
5/13/25.
So that was the appointment, the joint meeting for the appointment of Hartley and Lance stuff.
Carol, any comments or thoughts on those?
Oh, only because I never got the email from Beth, so I never read anything.
Oh.
I mean, so I can't really comment on them. I'm sure they're accurate.
So Hartley, having not been to half of them, I believe intended to abstain.
I abstain.
Will abstain. I know you haven't read them.
I haven't read them, so.
Shall we push to the next meeting then? for
Yeah,
approval?
because I don't know why
I know, we'll have to figure that out.
because the last email I got from you was about the open space, which I owe you.
Yeah.
I need to send you and Jeff an email on the open
I'm sorry,
space.
something must have happened.
Because usually I've been looking for your email, because I know you always send it out, and I always look for the agenda so I can sit and read all of it.
Yeah.
So I usually sit and read everything,
yeah, sorry,
So I never saw anything from you, and I said, well, there mustn't be a meeting tonight, because that always sends out
Yeah, sure,
goodness, okay.
days ahead of time.
sure,
Oh,
sure.
well, so it's okay to, to push it to the next meeting, it's nothing.
And then I'll just read
Yeah,
them.
for your next meeting, and I will, possibly an oversight, I apologize.
Well, it could be I have so many computer problems, so don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Beth, do you need a motion to take no action on that one, or?
No, I'll just
Okay.
put it on the next agenda.
So when is our next meeting?
I put it for next.
Next meeting is scheduled for June 23rd.
June 23?
Robert, do you know if you plan to be available? I don't know I'll be flying back from a wedding in California.
June 23rd,
Correct.
I'll be available, I think.
So, as, my first meeting as chair and your first meeting thus far as vice chair, maybe the next meeting you can fill in for me, depending on how, my flight goes, because I'm not sure exactly what time it'll
I
fall.
hope you make it.
I hope I do too.
It's all right, you can do it.
But, just on standby for you for that.
He's so organized, I'm not.
That's all right, we'll help you through it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, otherwise, so, Beth did not have an administrative, report for us.
Okay.
Prior to Carol's arrival, we did the, communications, announcements, volunteer response form. I think simply everyone should join the planning board.
Or any board,
There's
because
no-
every board has vacancies.
There's no place you'd rather spend, is it a Monday night for 3 hours? So,
Well, just think, I got finance committee meeting for 3 hours tomorrow night
Boy.
and Thursday night.
education and training, section 5. Looks like there's a spring workshop and a 2025 conference by the CPTC. I don't have those in front of me, but if you're interested, I think they'll be in the portal and we can ask them. Any other questions, thoughts? Volunteers?
If I could just ask, at 3.1, and I'll make sure you have your SharePoint, Carol. You can look through the different scenarios that were presented by
Except none of the schools want to be bothered participating in Safe Routes to School.
Oh, no, that's not that. But this is a different one. It's a safety action plan that they have identified 4 different areas of Townsend that could use road improvements, and there is grant funding available. So they wanted us to prioritize. Nelson had asked, he sent an email.
Oh, okay.
So I'll make sure, if you look at it on your own and you have some comments, just send them to me and I'll
Is it
send them to
in the SharePoint site or on the town website?
They're in your SharePoint, and I'm gonna resend it to you. Just in
Okay,
case.
okay, will you resend it to me and I'll look
Yeah,
at that?
so they should
Okay.
be under 3.1 in the
Okay.
meeting packet.
Okay, I thought this was the Safe Routes to School thing.
No.
And I'm like,
No, thanks, I did that.
and I says, I gave up on that a long time ago.
Yeah. Right.
So I see no further items on our agenda. Lori, as our liaison, I see that you've joined us, or you've been with us the whole evening.
Oh, I've been here the whole time.
Yes, I saw you gave up.
I just wanted to thank you all very much for your time and effort. It was a great meeting.
You're a great chair. You did a good job.
You did a great job.
Did a great job.
You all did a great job. It was a good meeting with a lot done, and appreciate all that you've done.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Okay, all right. Would anyone bear to entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 9:29 PM.
He
Second.
didn't finish his request.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. And thank you, Rick, I believe.
Thank
Is that
you.
right?
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome.